danced himself right out of frame.
Caribou has a crew with a whole bunch of dudes and a couple really cool chicks. Come here to learn, come here to teach. Mostly we come to bullshit. Caribou heart, we all play our part in this cannabis game. Caribou heart, come pop a squat, recreate, or just kill your pain. Rolling up weed into a bunch of dudes and a couple dang dab hits. Laughing along, getting real stoned. Don't forget, dear Uncle Rick. Caribou heart, we all play our part in this cannabis game. Caribou heart, come pop a squat, recreate, or just kill your pain.
All right, I've got a confession to make. I am just fucked right now. I noticed my dab torch was starting to run out of butane, so I started doing dabs and then more dabs while the banger was still hot, just because I knew I was about to fucking run out and I might not have enough in there to reheat a cold banger. So I did a few of those pretty quick succession, and now the lights are on, but nobody's home, baby, or there's a full party going on, maybe. That's it. Anyways, enough of that shit. Caribou TV, Tuesday Night Toke, episode 191. We've got less than 10 to go before we hit the big 200. And here to hang out and bullshit with us tonight, we've got our brother, Raptor Grow. How you doing, man?
Oh, he's on mute. Oh. Or he's frozen.
On mute and froze. Oh.
He's stuck.
There he is.
There you go.
Double header.
He's back.
Sorry, guys, if you're talking to me, I had like a whole bunch of audio just get like blasted in my ear. But if that was an introduction, how's it going? I'm Raptor Grow. You can just call me Raptor. Everybody does. Nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Hey man, thanks for coming. And your timing is like impeccable. I gotta say, you actually showed up more than most people on the panel usually show up, and well before most guests show up. But as everybody has said since they've gotten here, since they've get here and see you already here, is oh shit, I thought you were gonna be late, because that was what Bees said. Like hey man, you're just looking on, hey, letting us know I might not be able to make it on time, but we were expecting you 30 minutes late. So when you show up a half hour before time, it's just like, fuck yeah, man, this guy's on the ball. He's better than Bees is for the day here. We like Raptor.
Yeah, I got a little bit of experience under my belt with meeting up with some people. So I try to do what I can with the time that I have. It's like I said, it's nice to be here. I've seen you guys have some really good content. I'm not in chat a lot because I'm usually like doing something else, and whenever I like say what up, it's like a red wall in the chat. I'm like so I just do my best and I just say cheers everyone, and if anyone specifically tags me, I try to tag them too. Or if I don't if I'm on mobile, it's like I'll shorten it a little bit, and if I ever miss anyone, genuinely, you were included.
I know how it is. I think we all do. It's hard. It's fucking hard to keep up with everybody in chats these days anyways. A lot of the time, like I try to go out of my way and say hello to everyone in there throughout the course, and some days I don't even get around to it because it's just, you have that deneuralizer Men in Black style day. Like today might be one of those. So if I get there, hey, if I don't get there, everyone in chat, I love you. We're just saying that right now. You just might get neglected by me when it comes to the keyboard time later. I'm that fucked up right now.
Right? Sometimes people ask a question and then you go and look up the answer to that question and you realize you're like 2 pages behind, and then there's like 5-10 conversations going on after the fact that you like need to catch up with, and it's just like, well, sorry. I gotta focus on the show, kind of deal.
It's a tough struggle. You know what I'm saying? It's a real tough struggle.
Just glad you guys mentioned that. Just realized that I totally forgot I'm not even in chat yet. So Yeah, got that
Oh,
going now.
Oh,
Hey,
live
hi,
chat.
Chad.
Did you say hi,
Switch it
Fluffy?
to live chat.
Come on, man.
Heck
Fuck
yeah.
no, I just got it on there.
Make sure, yeah, like you said, make sure you go to live chat.
Why not top chat?
I hear it's whack.
Because Top Chat fucking sucks.
I'm a power top, not a top
Fuck
chatter.
the MCMA.
Motherfuck the MCMA. It's pretty rare that we got the people call in top chat, live chat before we can even get that video queued up. Raptor, you're on the ball, brother. Like, yeah, every bit of it. We got our video. We're gonna play that here. If you're not in live chat, get there. You know, that's the place to be. That's the great video there. Do the shout out to Colton Bridge. All right.
Nice.
Now that everybody's in live,
That's how you tell them.
You scare him into it.
You know, 18-year-old me would whoop my ass the amount of weed I waste. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah,
I always
Right.
tried to be really good about that. But you remember like back in the day when weed was actually hard to get or you weren't growing your own and you
And
would
you
like
used to
literally
count the
finger
crumbs
that
in your
shit.
tray?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, no,
Floor
that shit
weed
just
was
gets-
not in my vocabulary. It was just weed. Like, it's like, no, you drop. Oh yeah, it's on the floor. So, fuck, I'll
I
take
have
that.
dust bustered that shit out of the carpet, got it out that motherfucking filter and re-smoked that shit. I ain't fucking around.
Yeah, I'm
nowadays I
fucking
just blow
spoiled.
that shit everywhere. Oh
Dude,
yeah,
Now it just
absolutely.
falls on the ground. I'm like, it's to the floor, gods now.
Oh yeah,
It's
that dude, nice
the
size
carpet.
nug, nice size nug like this. If it hit the floor, I picked it up like 2 days later. I was gonna grind it up and smoke it. My kid looked at me like, "Stop that! Like you have plenty of weed. You don't
You're
need
better
to smoke
than
floor
this.
weed." Yeah, right.
it'd be fun to watch you at my house, Fluff, because I just make an absolute fucking mess when I roll a joint. Like this is my rolling tray right here. You see the edges on that? It's got a big, thick fucking edge. That's like a little over an inch. And I still like if I'm sitting here rolling on my lap, or more likely on the desk, in between, like on my lap, where in between the tray and the, it's just fucking absolute travesty. I bet you, like, I don't even want to throw a guess at how much we get fucking wasted. Or rolling on the good old insurance papers when you're riding shotgun in a vehicle. Well, look the fuck out. There's a mess there. So it's bad. It's bad. And like I would have, yeah. When I think back to the high school days, I would have been like, yeah, I would have been that kid picking every fucking bit of that out of the carpet.
And that was the thing, man. You could have had me in a fucking windows down, fucking 90 miles an hour going down a bumpy road. I still get that fucking joint rolled perfect with nothing spilling out of that bitch. Cause yeah, we was saving all of that weed.
No, if you stuck like a paper towel in front of the vacuum tube and just sucked it all up, it would be right there. I mean, I guess we don't have to worry about it
This
now.
sounds
'cause it's
this
not,
sounds like
but-
experience.
But I'm just saying, that's how I did it.
Yeah, I know that if I can't remember who told me about this, but if like there's a whole bunch of stuff like seeds, like I don't want to waste seeds. Let's say a bunch of seeds fell on the ground. Get a vacuum, cover that up with like something breathable, like paper towel or something, and
Pantyhose
kind of
works.
just pantyhose. Yeah, exactly. Something where airflow can come through, but just basically a filter, and that will work great. You know, just be careful that doesn't get sucked through. You know, because then you got to dig through the freaking dust buster.
Sounds like this may have happened to you.
Yeah, you know, with the seeds, I actually. It was pretty bad, but I went and picked up every single one, had an LED light. So it might be worth it to just do exactly like I just said, and, you know, vacuum it up with a filter on it. And then what's gone is gone. Just kind of call it a day, unless you want to go through it and kind of just, I don't know if everyone's seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but you know, when he's looking through, yeah, that fucking style. I'm looking for
That's like
He's
the
all
best
hover-
movie ever. I just gotta say, I've watched it like fucking a million times.
He's all hovering over the grass. That's just
I was
funny.
just
Yeah.
thinking about that movie the other day, and I was like, man, I really kind of want to watch that again.
It's worth it to
Totally.
revisit for sure. All those
Like, I-
Goonies and shit like that. Fuck yeah. It's one of those, you know, when you have like a rainy day, you're just stuck in that inside, hanging out, nothing really to do. It's like, how am I gonna pass the time? It's like, you know what? Some fucking classics.
Yeah, I'm a
Another
Princess Bride
quick
fan.
side note on that one is Rick Moranis, the guy that plays the father in that movie, was him and a guy named Dave Thomas did Bob and Doug
Yeah.
McKenzie. Kind of like a Canadian Wayne's World. Think of it as something like that. Just
Strange
funny
Brew.
as fuck. You can look them up on Strange Brew movies. That was filmed in my hometown, all the brewery scenes. But yeah, that's same guy there. So what I'm getting at there. It's funny shit.
Yeah, dude, that stuff is super fun shit. So, Raptor, let's talk about some growing, buddy. What you got going on?
Sure, yeah. Right now I'm growing a couple of strains that I've just gone through, just kind of let them get pollinated. My friend gave me this Blue City Diesel by Blueberry Skunk cross, and I grew that like a year or two ago, and I just kind of let that get pollinated by some of Jeff's work. I believe it was Strawberry Starburst, and I'm really liking the pre-flowers that I'm seeing on it. I'm saying pre-flowers because I haven't I've just had everything stuck on veg until I could get to everything. I've been super busy with school, and I just got done with an internship actually like a month ago. So, or more closer to like 2 months, shit, like the time passes by. But yeah, I started up another semester. So taking classes, trigonometry. I'm taking the last of my English courses for the prerequisites that I need. So I'm just really glad to be getting done with all the basic shit that I need to, so that I can get into my other majors. And I'm double majoring, and I just basically got through all of my science portion of my horticulture major, and I'm going to be working on my microbiology next. And I already got started like 3 years back. But I got way more into horticulture. I've always been interested in it, but I didn't have the credentials before, the prerequisites. And then I look into my old school that I was going into, because I went into a couple different ones, because each school offers like a specialty program in the community college as well as, you know, higher education. So the one before that I was going to was where I was looking more into my microbiology. So they had this program where it's biotechnology, and I went through that program. I went through the basic. I want to go back and finish up the rest of the program, because it's different tiers of certifications, and I just got I was getting into the first one, so I want to finish up that first one and go into the other tiers. But yeah, I did that whole biotechnology thing, but it's been pretty busy with school. But in terms of get back into what I'm growing, did the BCD Blueberry Skunk cross with Strawberry Starburst. Looking forward to that. And I'm also growing some one plant of the cross that I mixed with itself, basically back crossed it, and that's Jeff's work. That's the Scarlet Begonias. I know somebody here is working with the Scarlet Begonias, so cool. It's cool to like also hear that other people are interested in that. So I'm letting that go. It smells pretty good, seems pretty stable. That's another reason why I wanted to mess around with Jeff's work, basically. And another reason I like working with it is because he's straight up said on his podcasts, and whenever somebody asks him, hey, do you care if people use your stuff? And he's like, I couldn't stop you if I wanted to. And he has a very cool attitude about it. And it's a very realist attitude. Just, hey, just give me props. So that's what I make sure to get the strains right when I can remember, and make sure I point, at very least, if I can't remember the strain, point to the person that actually did the work. Please do that, people. No one's saying don't work with stuff, but give people credit at very least. So when someone wants to work with that lineage, they can go back to the person that worked on it, and the person that worked on it, if they're selling it, they'll give you the right genetics, most important thing, but also they're getting supported. I think we ignore that, like, hey, we need to support the people that are breeding. Like, that's the backbone of what we're doing. Yeah,
That.
please get into that.
But it's also in case you're trying to track down a lineage for a
Mhm.
specific thing. If like they're lying about what it is, and it isn't doing what you're hoping it's gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about, I mean, the more truthful we are, the easier it is to access the same genetics, and you can do basically a quality check on the breed, and yeah, and his stuff isn't that expensive, and especially the stuff that I really like that he often, I think he just started putting out seeds that weren't necessarily worked very far. So they weren't gone into more than like 2 or 3 generations or so, but he tells you that. And then he also says, instead of charging you guys 100, going to charge you like 50. So I think that's fair. I think more people should have models like that, where if I put a lot of work into this, I should be able to charge more. And I try not to spend more than like 100, 120, basically $10 a seed. But if I hear good things from something, yeah, I'm willing to. And I don't see a problem with spending money on cuts. Dave got me looking into skunk tech, and skunk tech is pricey for his cuts, but it's because it's all done right. It comes clean, and it comes to your door when he says it does. He stays into contact with you. I'd love to get my hands on some of that stuff to like work on my tissue culture that I'll be starting up pretty soon. So yeah, we could get into that a little later. But in terms of what else I'm growing some Loving in Her Eyes, which should be really cool. Really look into Loving in Her Eyes work. She does great photography. Check out her Instagram. You'll be blown away. But she does, yeah. I really like the high definition of the quality of photos there. And it's what I'm working with is Paradiso Gelato and Orange Ice Pop. So both of those smell really good. And I really like that she does feminized lines. It'd be cool if she did both, but if she's trying to leave her mark and do it that way, let her do it that way. And it's the first time I've ever grown feminized. Man, I'll tell you, they really want to turn. All my stuff, it's been in there for a while. It's just begging for it. So I actually just started investing into expanding my grow too. So for the last 3-4 years, I've just had one 3x3 tent. That's it. I didn't have anything else. I didn't grow outdoors. I'm allowed to grow outdoors under certain restrictions because of where I live in Southern California. It's a little bit more strict than if I lived up into the Humboldt County. That I really wish I lived there, because they wouldn't really give a fuck. But down here, I live in suburbia, so I got to be really careful. I'm allowed to do it. I'm actually a medical grower. I don't fall under recreational, so I'm allowed way more than other people are. The lowest I'm allowed to grow is 12, but I was just joking around with you guys. They didn't tell me I couldn't grow more than 12. So if you look under Proposition 215, which is the medical laws here in California, it's up to the doctor, and the doctor didn't tell me anything. So I'm just going with that, to be quite honest. But I don't even with the 12, I'm
Minimum of
growing
12.
under right now, right?
Yeah, it's
Hey,
a minimum
they
of
didn't tell
12.
me no, right?
Decent.
I always
Yeah.
figure if they don't give you a permanent number, it's just infinity, right? You just get to grow as many as you fucking want. There can't be ignorance of the law if there's not a number written down. So if your doctor's got to give you the number, it seems to me like your number is pretty fucking good right now.
Yeah, no one gave me any restrictions. Oh, that problem.
Oh, you know the drill, do you?
Yeah. I don't have any dabs, but I do have some of that back grass I was talking about.
Yeah. So,
Hey.
tell us about your expansion plans. What are you getting a bigger tent or more tents or what's going on?
Yeah, I can't. I'm actually really sticking with the 3x3s. I like that size. It's not too big. It's not too small with the grow space that I have. So I bought a couple of 3x3s. Right now, there's just the original and another one that I have up that I'm using for veg and to keep all the mothers in. So I am actually going to be taking some cuts very soon. They just recovered from some abuse from me. Like I said, I am pretty busy and it's on me. I missed a couple waterings, so they are looking a little ratty. That's my fault, but I actually have been getting back into it and they're looking way better. So I wanted to wait until I actually took cuts of good, healthy plants. It's okay if they had their stump, give them their stump. If there's leaves that were eaten up because they needed that nutrients, hey, apply some more nutrients to the soil. I've actually stopped applying nutrients in terms of amending, like throwing dry amendments on there. And I'm sticking to warm castings for the moment. And that's if I don't put compost or warm castings, it's basically an extract of that. So I'll stick I have like old t-shirts that I use as filters. So I'll just get a handful of warm castings, put it in there, wrap it up, tie it with a garden tie, to keep it closed, and then have that soaking in a gallon of just a watering can. And actually the most recent time that I did that a couple of days ago, I filled up a separate sprayer, like in a gallon of water, and I sprayed the filtered warm, like that little clump of warm castings, and I just sprayed it with that filter on there. You can use a towel, whatever you got. Some people use a paint strainer. I just use whatever. I try to recycle if I can. So I just used one of those old t-shirts, and yeah, I just sprayed water through it, and a whole bunch of humus and fulvic acids. I could just see it in like the color of it just came through. So I pride myself in making my own warm castings. I got 2 bins going right now, and I'm going to expand to more. I'm actually considering to redesign what I'm doing. I use an 18-gallon bin, so 2 bins, and I just stack them on top of each other. And I think that's a little too big. I feel like I could have, for the same volume, of height, I could have 2 10-gallon bins and have double the worms and taking up, giving me double the yields of vermicastings and being able to process more as well. So I'll try that and doubling up everything. But man, it's really cool. I'd love to talk a little bit more on worms a little later. But yeah, I have some links to some college, North Carolina college, I believe. And
What
I
do your
might be
worms
wrong.
like to eat the most?
I've actually noticed they really like the coffee because I have a feeling that it's the grind consistency, because within uh, their gut, what am I trying to say?
Like
Oh
a
my
chicken.
gosh.
Their digestion.
Yeah, they're like a chicken. Exactly. Thank you.
They're like
So
gizzard kind of thing.
yeah, their digestive tract, I should say.
Yeah, they
So
need
with it,
grit inside their stomach in
Yeah.
order to. They use that grit to break
they have a
down.
gizzard.
Yeah.
That's the word.
I,
So
Gizzard.
very much like chickens, they have a gizzard, and they don't have the ability to, you can get away with not putting some fine particulate in there. Some people use sand. I've just been getting into collecting all of my eggshells and actually putting them in the oven. I heard other people foregoing the oven process, but I want to have it go through the oven because I don't want to deal with any salmonella or any of that stuff. So I put it at like 400 for like, I was originally going to do it for 15, but I was doing something, so it ended up being 20, and they were fine. A little brown, but I didn't have to worry about anything extra being in there, and I didn't want to give them another. My warm bin is prime real estate for anything to expand on, so I just want to keep that to beneficial bacteria, and it's very easy with the worms because they have that in their digestive tract as well. They have lots of beneficial bacteria. That's part of what they feed on as well. A very small person, they actually do eat the food, but it's like 5 or 3%, and then the rest they get their nutrients through the
Well,
bacteria and fungi.
My
Yeah.
understanding is they take the food in to use, the gizzard to break it up, the grit and stuff to get the microbes out of it. And then the food just comes right back out as your humus, your castings, and everything else.
Yeah,
So they're
that's
just stripping the
90%.
microbes and shit back out of it. But also adding what's in them back into it. So that's my understanding of it.
Yeah. Actually, when I've recently read the book, The Warm Farmer's Handbook, and that's by Dr. Rhonda Sherman. She has her doctorate. So I have a friend that was correcting me. It's like, hey, she worked hard for that doctorate, and give her props because she fucking deserves it. So yeah, Dr. Rhonda Sherman, she is a wealth of information. Look her up. That's Rhonda with RH, and she's really cool. I really liked looking through her book, but it's called The Warm Farmer's Handbook, mid to large scale. So please check that out.
Was she the one who did Worms Eat My Garbage too?
No, she had her own article on the school website, I believe, and it's Worms Can Recycle My Garbage or Your Garbage. It's one of the two, and that's for free. I'll actually look it up right now and throw it in our chat so you guys can throw it up too. It's really cool. That's some free information out there for you all to get started. That's the information I used to get my bins going. So please check that out. You're gonna, right, Spartan? That book will want to make you start a worm farm, and that's something I have a lot of plans for my future. Once I get some land, I'm going to be saving up for the moment. I'm actually getting into basically a mushroom cultivation shop.
Sweet.
And that's I have another Instagram called Firebelly Fungi. And I don't have any stuff on there yet. It's just one picture of me on a mushroom foray with the San Diego Mycological Society. I'm also a part of a couple mycological societies, one up in LA and one in San Diego. So yeah, if anyone's watching out there that's from California, you're interested in mushrooms, check with either of those. They're really good. I really enjoy them, and they're informative. when it's the cooler months here in Southern California, that's when we go out on our mushroom forays. That's the only time we can, because this is our wet season right now. And it's actually raining outside. Yeah, very rare to see.
I saw you did a really big mushroom forage with like a group here recently, didn't you? And got all kinds of cool shit, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was the San Diego chapter. I haven't been able to go on a foray with the LA chapter yet. I'm really looking forward to do it. And I missed one that was, I really was kicking myself because they found chicken of the woods when they were out looking. So that's a good one. That one is actually a cultivatable variety, or I should say species. But keep in mind that you'll probably get one flush a year. So there's 30 different kinds of species that are cultivatable besides oyster and shiitake and all that stuff. So bear that in mind. I have some recommendations for books that I could give out to people if anyone wants. But I have also gotten into my own, furthered my education a little bit in that. There's not a lot of mushroom classes out there. Yeah, that's good. I've actually seen that a lot, and I'm glad that I'm starting to. I guess
Dude,
it's good and it's bad that you see it in like Home Depot and stuff, but I like that. I think it's good because it's exposing more people like, oh, I could just grow mushrooms and all I have to do is buy this. And then if you just look at the instructions, it just says water.
Yeah, it's stupid easy.
Spray it.
Stupid easy, and it's super fun to watch them grow. And like so you can get the oyster kit, and the oyster kit, like, when was the last time you got to see like oysters at the store or anything, right? Like, you don't find that shit at the store usually. So yeah, and in like, I think less than a month, the motherfucker pops out and you have a full flush of beautiful mushrooms to eat. So yeah, I think they're super cool. And that just made me look into, doing it in a more proper, better way. And then you realize like all these plugs you can get are super cheap and easy to get and just throw out in like your fucking yard, man. And bam, mushrooms. So yeah,
I really recommend, if all you have access to is what Fluff just showed, get that. If you know of someone in your area that's working with mushrooms and is making their own kits, get that. It's whatever you can, but I like supporting local if possible. And if you do that, you can actually have access to someone that's readily able to answer your questions too. That's local. And then you may even form a bond. You might even like want to start working with them if you're interested as well. Another bonus of working with local is a lot of times, how you had that, just like this size block, you could get 3 pounds, 5 pounds, you could get a lot more than just that. So the larger amount of substrate or of a block that you have, the bigger yields you'll have. And not just that, people think, a lot of people that aren't really into mushrooms think that, oh, it's like anything else and it's just one harvest, right? No, you can have up to 3 harvests, 3 really good ones. And then it starts kind of tapering off. There's been, I've heard some people say, oh, I've gotten 5 before, but yeah, was it 5 of all 10 pounds or like within 10 to 8 pounds? Or did it go 10 to 8 and then after the third it starts getting into 4 or 2? That's where it really tapers off. So if people are into it, please keep that in mind. You'll be able to sustain yourself a little longer. And it's really cool because guess what? They're basically within the animal kingdom. They're very closely related to us, so they breathe oxygen. If you're growing them with plants, you can kind of have a symbiotic thing going. One thing's breathing oxygen and exhaling CO2. the other things breathing in CO2 and exhaling oxygen. So you can get something going. Just keep in mind that you have to keep it all going that way. So if you're trying to rely on that just for your CO2, I would be careful unless you're a full-on personal cultivator, you know, where, and you could do it small scale, just anything that you can do in this, you could do in your kitchen. If you have a kitchen, you have a lab space. So I want to get that out of the way. Don't feel like you're constrained. And even if you don't have a kitchen, you know, try to get outside and, you know, we use grow tents. You can also use a grow tent and even have that outside. Maybe even what I want to do is set up a filtration, you know, to go on the exhaust, some kind of like a filter there. And then that way just good airflow comes in, and also have a sterilizer in there as well to take care of what else is going on, just in case. Have a little more backup. And yeah, don't feel like you're restricted. Your kitchen has everything that a lab would need. It has access to fire, if not fire, electricity. You could do a lot, and there's often more space. And then a lot of kitchens are made to be cleaned. So that's the biggest thing if you want to get into anything that requires any clean work, is having a surface that's able to take care of that. And even if you have stuff like carpet and tile, you can cover that up and work with it. I have carpet. I want to get rid of it real soon. Actually, we've been talking about it, but it just keeps getting kind of pushed back. But I just deal with what I have, clean as much as possible, and you're going to have very few issues. The cleaner you are, the better off you are. Now with mushroom cultivation, you could also do a lot of this outdoors, but it's going to be different. You're going to have to work with certain species and just educate yourself. If you know what species to work with at the right time and that work well outdoors, you'll do fine. Like you could do shiitake indoors or outdoors, but I think more people should just be doing them outdoors just because they're so freaking easy, and then they take a while. So you can't just order one, you know, order a log and think, oh, I'm going to get something in a month like we do with oysters. The shiitake work a little different. They work a little longer. There's some things you could do to get things going a little faster, but typically I would prefer to do it outdoors just because it also produces a lot of spores. And I want people to be aware of that. If you are going to be doing this indoors, try to have a filtration set up in there so it's sucking up all that stuff. And, you know, just be aware. I wear a mask whether I'm in the lab or have anything to do with mushrooms, just because spores can fuck you up, and especially indoors. But if you have a well-ventilated area and you make sure that you're next to that ventilation, you can deal with that. I know there's some people that, you know, don't like anything on their face. They're very anxious about it. That's understandable. You know, you don't, but be aware that you might have more issues with keeping clean, but it can be done. Now with the outdoors, you could just do it outdoors as well. It's not really an issue. What I really like when I was looking into it is the potential for eating up waste streams. So we're all around businesses or whatever that have a whole bunch of cardboard, have a whole bunch like pizza boxes. If you were to go to whatever pizza place, you shouldn't be recycling that technically because it has oil on it. So that's prime freaking substrate to actually I'm actually gonna be doing this as soon as I have some spawn ready. I'm gonna be using it for recycling, and I'm gonna be focusing on oysters. And it's really cool because you just get a whatever size bin you got, you can fit. It could even be a pot, you know, a nursery pot, and just start stuffing it with not waterlogged cardboard, but enough moisture in there where you see like a little bit of tension, a little bit of drop right there. Just like if you had the perfect amount of moisture in your soil, that's where you would really want it. And then just throw a layer and then of cardboard or paper. You could also use any glossy paper that you wouldn't use in your worm bin. Don't use glossy paper in your worm bin. Use that. Oh, it's a dap.
Somebody say
Nice.
Dapra.
Man, you can keep going.
Yeah. I actually wanted to get a bowl in real
Oh,
quick.
you're gonna get it this time. All right, good. That's what we like to hear. But yeah, you make a very good point that you don't want to use certain papers. Your glossy stuff, things that are printed with glossy inks, things like that. You don't want to use those things in your worm bin. That's going to be toxic to your worms. It's going to give out those microplastics, all that other bullshit. So yeah, be wary about what you are putting in your worm bins and use it for that stuff.
On the
Yeah.
toxicity scale of like, is it as bad as say the bleach that DP dumped in his worm bin, or
Nah.
You can get away with glossy shit a lot longer than the fucking bleach rag. Yeah. That's
okay, just curious. It was a question I saw in chat was what that was.
It was wormicide. I'm sorry. It was wormicide. It was terrible.
So how would you actually know if your mushrooms are starting to turn bad?
Yeah, a lot of it's timing. Let's say I just grew some oysters and they just fruited. They're ripe for picking. Different mushrooms will have different properties when they get a little bad. Some just dry up. Others will like get like mushy and really gross to the touch, and you'll smell it as well. Like it
So
won't
you'll
smell
clearly know if it's bad. Is what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You should.
Unless you don't like the smell of mushrooms, and then the smell of a bad mushroom is really fucking horrendous to you.
I bet.
It's this fermented, like, yeah, it's fucking heinous. Like it'll like put you back a little bit. I've grown some pink oysters, and I just left the grain jar unattended for like months, and then I opened it up and I was just like, why did I do this indoors? So be aware of that. Make sure you have everything marked down, everything dated well. The more organized you are, the easier it's going to be. So that's number one, is if you can be clean and do it indoors, you're going to see a lot of less issues. You have a lot more control of the situation. And yeah, just be safe with it. If you can, just have whatever safety precautions you have. Make sure you're wearing gloves. Yeah, I really think that more people should be getting into mushroom cultivation, but they just don't know where to start. And that's another reason why I did a little bit more education with Cornell Small Farms. I did a course with them for woodland mushroom cultivation and indoor mushroom cultivation. And what they basically told me is you're going to see, you won't necessarily see more yields outdoors because there's less control. It's the same thing with growing any kind of fruit, vegetable. It has to meet certain conditions, but if you just grow enough, you'll be fine. If you were to grow shiitakes outdoor, I think that's prime for outdoor cultivation. And I really like log cultivation from all I've been learning about it, because you could either set it up in like a teepee fashion, where they're just kind of like leaning against each other, or even have one row of leaning shiitake logs up against the wall, and you'll be fine. In a couple months, you'll be able to fruit that. You can also grow other species. You can grow oyster mushrooms as well on logs. But what I really like is that you can grow the oyster lion's mane mushroom. And that's something I still haven't eaten yet. I'm really looking forward to it. I think I have everything to grow it, but I think I might be ordering a already made kit just to have something going and try it. That's another thing I recommend to people before you really get into it. If you can find it at the stores, and it might be a little pricey, but just buy, one and try it and see if you like it. And another thing to take into consideration is that's also not going to be the freshest mushroom. So your cultivated is more than likely going to be leagues better than something you buy at the store. Same thing with cannabis, right? The stuff that you're buying from the store is not as good as you can frickin' make. So it's something to keep in mind. There's so many reasons I hear from people not wanting to get into it. It's a little confusing. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone wants to put them in chat. If any reasons why you don't want to start, and I can point you to some really cool people. I really like Fresh from the Farm Mushrooms. He gets more into the indoor cultivation. He also sells his own cultures on Etsy. Check him out. It's Fresh from the Farm Fungi, something like that. He's really cool. He actually comes from cannabis tissue culture. So he's very more informed on the biotech side on that. And then he got into growing mushrooms, and he realized that instead of being a technician that grows for other people, he could be his own business owner. So that's another thing that I want people to know too. It's because there's not that many people growing mushrooms. So it's something, if you're interested in it already, start small, get a kit, buy from someone, get a kit, get yourself familiar. When you get more comfortable, learn a little more, go through it, baby steps as much as you can. And then you can open up your own shop and then start small again from a shop perspective and get bigger gradually. And you might just be making, I'm focusing on liquid cultures right now. I made a bunch of lids, so that'll be on the shop pretty soon. And then my next step is liquid cultures. So I'm picking up liquid cultures from another grower, and they're actually getting all that from the wild. So be very careful with who you buy your cultures from. Basically, all the cultures will work, but not all cultures are made equally. Some are collected from the wild, and then through the lab space, they'll expand that, and then they'll sell it to you. That's the best place I could offer it. Just look up what they do, no matter where you're buying from. Look up their background, how they get their genetics. It's the same thing with cannabis. I would prefer if I'm looking into breeding and making sure I have something good, I want something worked and done well. And that's what I'll go into next. You can get breeders as well. There's specific breeders that do this for a living. They just grow it out. They compare it, what the best yielders, the ones that are most resistant to pathogens and contaminations. They'll include that in the genetics. The good ones will do all these things, just like cannabis. And I say rely on that too. Is the most important thing is to stick with the work stuff. That they did the work for you and that it it's gonna give you a win. And the danger of not really paying attention and buying from whomever is that you could get some genetics that's senesced, and that just means it's been copied and copied and copied over and over again, and it doesn't really, like, you're going to see issues, just like I was mentioning. You're going to see contamination issues. It's not going to be able to fend for itself because it doesn't know what to do anymore. It's not like the wild version where it could fend for itself. It knows what to do. Another issue that you would see is mutations, undesirable mutations. You'll get very small yields as well. So there's a lot of issues that people don't talk or don't even realize. So I do recommend, I really like fresh from the farm fungi because he does his own breeding. He makes sure that you're getting something good, and it's like $5 more. I've seen some stuff on Etsy that's like 15, 12 bucks. Okay, cool. You're going to save some money, but did you get something that is going to give you really big flushes? And depending on how you like them, I like a medium range. The fresher you can pick them, the better. The smaller that they are, the better they'll taste. But there is like just kind of this sweet spot, and I prefer to pick them at that point. If you let them get too big, they won't taste the same. And going back to your question before, like, when is it too late? Typically, a lot of people try to stay away from where it sporulates. So once you get to that maturation, that's when a lot of people prefer to pick before that. It's also less messy. But if we're talking about like psychedelics, I don't really care. I'll pick them afterwards. And things happen, man. They fruit fucking quick. They'll, like, if you're not paying attention to it, you'll be back a day later, and then you got spores all over. You got like really dusty caps, stuff like that. But that's okay. It's not a big deal. I just say dust them off. I don't rinse for any of my mushrooms. I just brush it off with like a toothbrush or a paintbrush, whatever you got. That will work fine, especially if you're foraging. I've gotten into that was my introduction to mushrooms. My friend Cannabis Oreganum, I got to meet him up in where he lives up in Oregon, and he took me mushroom hunting. He took me on my first mushroom foray. And that was fucking cool. I was just mesmerized. There was so many mushrooms everywhere. I come from an area where I don't even see moss unless it's the fucking wet season, which is like 2 to 3 months here. The rest of the time here, it's just dry. Like, so I have a very small window for mushroom cultivation. I'm pretty jealous of you lot up in Canada because it's a much longer season. I have to go up to Northern California. Is the closest space I can get to where it's really a lot more reliable and cool, like it is in Oregon. I would much prefer to be up in Northern California. It's just forget the people. I really like the attitude of like, hey, I'll kick back and have fun over there. And not everyone's as uptight as they are down here. But I also like it up there just because of the fucking forests, man. I love being in the forests. I much prefer being in the forest than like surrounded by concrete in a city.
You talking about foraging. I'm actually like super lucky. A tree right outside in my yard, right out my front door, actually sprouts, sprouts. I don't know what the fuck you call it. It grows wild lion's mane right on it. Every year
cool.
I get wild fucking lion's mane out there, and I get so stoked every time I see that bastard pop up. I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So yeah, I'm really fortunate with that. So, and a lot of the other ones that you know, I get a lot of mushrooms that grow in this area around here. You know, there's a lot of old trees and shit around here. So there's tons and tons of mushrooms that just show up. And so I've just been researching just so when I walk through, you know, like the wooded areas and shit, I see all these mushrooms, you know, which ones can I grab? Which ones are good, you know, like, you know, your turkey tails, those things are fucking everywhere and they're highly medicinal, you know. So I definitely need to start making sure that I can identify that one properly, you know, get it down and get it processed so I can use it, you know.
Yeah, it's really cool. I have been foraging, but I don't eat anything yet. I make sure that I know the poisonous mushrooms first. Know your fucking poisonous mushrooms first before you have anything to do with that. Unless you were raised foraging mushrooms, like the friend that I learned from.
One other really good thing too is now they have these apps and shit. Those apps and shit are not going to tell you whether that fucking mushroom is poisonous. There are a lot that look the fucking same, that one will kill you and one won't. And if you don't know the difference between like a fin on that damn cap, you know, you're taking your life in your hands. So don't rely on one of these stupid apps to tell you if that mushroom is poisonous or not either.
I'm with you. That one scares the hell out of me. My daughter, she turns 8 next month. One of the things we like to do is go playing around in the bush. She's got all kinds of little field books or whatever with tell you different kinds of fungi or different plants that are in the area and all that stuff, so she can get used to seeing stuff in nature. And you know, when it comes to the berries and stuff like that, that's pretty, you know, easy to figure out those ones. But like the mushrooms scare the shit right out of me. Is like I would hate to have a hunch that, oh yeah, that thing, I'm pretty sure I think that's edible. Like morel would be a good example. I'm pretty sure I know those every time I see those, but it's like I don't know for a fact that it is, right? Imagine feeding that to your kid and all of a sudden anaphylactic shock or something fucking terrifying like that. So I would like to go in some kind of course or whatever where you're actually out in the bush with someone who knows this stuff. Because once you get that hands-on experience, that's all I really need is a bit when you pick it up, look at it, and they show you a few things. Okay, now I can identify. That's what I need.
That's exactly why I joined more than one mycological association in my area. I live in Orange County, California. So there's a Los Angeles is to the north of me. So I joined that Mycological Society, and I joined to the south of me, San Diego. So I have two sources to go to and two slightly different environments. San Diego, some people don't know, is right above Mexico. So that's really cool. I have a Mexican background, so I can actually kind of just go in with that. Like, okay, cool. I can understand the mushrooms of where my family's lineage is from. And then in terms of north of like LA area where they go, that's cool too. I don't have a lot of experience up there. You know, Santa Cruz area, I want to start checking up that area. There's a lot more areas that I didn't realize were ripe for picking for mushrooms, but I just didn't understand. It all starts, hey, no one starts knowing everything. So humble yourself right fucking now. Like you're not, even if you know a whole bunch about plants, switch to fungus. And then you'll see, oh, I have more to learn. And I like that. I like learning. It entertains me. That's my form of entertainment. I used to read a lot as a kid, and I was just a sponge and grabbed as much as I could. But now I don't have as much time to read. I kind of use my books for references. What I do is I have a like text to speech app, and I have PDFs of books, and that reads those PDFs of books. So that's how I get through a lot of material. So like when I'm driving or I'm in the garden, that's how I get through some books. So if you are someone that has issues with getting through books, just either buy an Audible, you know, or try that just type in text to speech apps and see what you can get. Also, a lot of them sound robot-y. So like I was listening to a fungus book, a mushroom cultivation book, and they called shiitake uh shiitakes or something. Some like it sounded really weird. So it might be worth it to pay like $5 for a better one, and then you could get better voice recognition or however whatever the program is that runs through that. But please try looking up more books. If anyone can't afford books because they're super expensive, I have that issue too, especially being a student. I get what I can online for free. So if anyone, I can't, I don't want to give it away online just in case it gets shut down. But if you're really interested, hit me up on my Instagram, Raptor Grow, and then I'll give it to you. So that way you can look it up and you can have however many books you need. I have gotten into the habit of buying a lot of books that I noticed that, hey, there's a whole fucking bunch of information. A couple books that I really want to get for hard copies are Plants from Test Tubes. That's a tissue culture book. The books that I'm reading right now, one specifically is Organic Mushroom Farming and Mycoremediation by Tried Cotter. Another one that I got through is Radical Mycology by Peter McCoy. So those are really good sources for mushroom cultivation and just learning in general. If you want to get into it, I highly recommend those. Also for the Trad Cotter, one of the authors of the books that I just mentioned, he has a YouTube called Spore Prints, and there's just one. So just type in Trad Cotter Spore Prints, and then it'll come up on YouTube. Man, there's a lot of good information. What I was mentioning before with the mushroom recycling, like using mushrooms to recycle, that's he does a demonstration on one of his videos from like 2020. So he timed it out perfectly because a whole bunch of people had some free time, and people have a whole bunch of cardboard around, a whole bunch of paper, just a lot of carbon that doesn't need to go into the waste stream. You can use it to grow. So I really like that example because you don't need anything but the grains that were already sterile. So as long as you have those inoculated grains and you put them layer by layer with cardboard and paper and all that, once it gets filled up, it eats through all the food, then it starts fruiting. And then you'll have a literal tub that didn't need all this pasteurization, or not as much pasteurization to get some mushrooms. And then you'll be eating from your waste stream, perfectly clean food, fresh as can be. And I recommend that you actually stick those mushrooms outside for a day, because they'll produce, I believe it's vitamin E, way more vitamin E than if you were to just have them indoors. Like even if you just picked them and left them out for a couple hours, it's going to spike to like, I think over 1,000 milligrams versus like 100 of vitamin E. So
that's huge. Are you able to explain how that happens, how that works, or at all, or?
Yeah, it's like their version of melanin. So they're very closely related to us. So it's just like how if we go out in the sun for a couple hours, we get a little tanner. Some people more than others, but it's their response to that. So I always recommend that to people. And even probably the ones that you bought from the store, I really say, give it a chance. It might do you some good to just stick it outside for like an hour, or like have it, if you have a windowsill, have it where somewhere it gets like some ambient light coming in. And that'll be, I feel like you would get a result from that. Just from the studies that I've read and the examples that have been given to me, it's a big benefit.
To be honest, I mean, there's not really anything that's meant to be indoors. So almost everything is going to be better if we check it outside for a while.
Yeah, and another thing that you can once you get into mushroom cultivation, you'll see that you have more than you can eat in a day. I highly recommend that you get a dehydrator. I need to get a dehydrator. I'm a gardener, so I need to start dealing with my yields that way as well. Dry that shit out, and it's up to you how you want to keep it. You can keep it in slices. I recommend that you slice it up so it dries more evenly and faster. But I want to get more into grinding it up and almost having it as like a spice. So it's this fucking like umami bomb. You could mix it with salt as well. So you'll have mushroom salt of whatever you have. And you could do this with the stuff from your store as well. You could buy mushrooms already dehydrated. And that I recommend as well, more than fresher mushrooms from the store, because they're not going to be as fresh as when they were dehydrated. And it's probably going to be more safer, and you're not going to have as big of an issue with it kind of rotting. Yeah, I really want to get more into like combining all that into more recipes. For sure, it's going to go good in soups. It's going to go well on your eggs. Sprinkle it on some steak. Whatever you got, I'm sure you could incorporate it. There's, I actually didn't know this before, but there's some people that put specific mushrooms into like their sweet foods, like their baked goods. So there was this recipe that I saw, or I think it was, I was following this like grocery store up in Oregon, super fucking random. But it's because of what they had in their stock. And it was this ice cream that had candy cap mushrooms in it. And candy caps give off a scent of maple, like maple syrup. So you're getting this ice cream. I know this. I'm fucking breaking the Canadian fucking. They're
Speaking my
blowing your
language now,
minds.
Raptor.
I just thought everyone's eyes went, oh, fuck, I can find another source.
Maple mushroom.
A
ice
maple
cream.
mushroom. Yeah, they're called candy caps. Is I think it's Lepistus. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, please check that out. I know that those grow wild. I don't believe those can be cultivated. So another reason why you want to know your mushrooms in your area. And going back to what you guys were saying of I don't really know what's in my area, you could start getting educated on your computer right now. I've recently started using the last 2 years iNaturalist.org, and that's all one word. So search that and whatever fucking search engine you use, and it's a really cool site. It goes into way more than fungus. It goes into insects, it goes into flowers, it goes into animals, it goes into fish, a whole bunch of stuff. So check out iNaturalist. What I like about them is they have a fungus filter. So you just tap on that filter and it puts you to a map of wherever you're looking up. So you'll put in your location of wherever you want to learn about, and it'll give you all these options of where you can filter it. But wherever you search, it's just going to have a whole bunch of fucking dots everywhere. So that's why I say use these filters. So go to that fungus filter, and then you'll see, you'll start seeing local species. It'll give you a list of everything that's growing. And another cool reason I like to use this is because it's a citizen science kind of run deal. It does have biologists on there that check for the IDs, but basically you just go on there, make an account. Anyone can make an account. Start taking pictures of stuff around you, put it on there, and there's biologists and botanists that are on there and will identify it. So just wait for, because you're gonna get, it's like a social media kind of thing as well. You'll get some other people that will be making guesses, but they have people that are pre-registered, like, no, this is an academic source. Like, this is from someone that really knows what they're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I highly recommend iNaturalist. There's some other stuff. I know that I'm from here in California, is called CalFlora, is what I'm starting to use because I'm taking a course in California plant natives. So I asked my teacher, like, hey, I'm trying to get over this. I call it the green screen, because when I go into a forest, I'm starting to get a lot better. I understand conifers and everything like that, but it's still a green screen for me. Whenever I look into the forest, it's just like, I just see green. I don't know what species that is. I don't know why it's important. I don't know when it's dormant. I don't know when it's coming. You know, you can see when it's green and stuff, but you don't know the specifics. You don't know what the fuck it is. You don't know what you're looking at. That was, since I was a little kid, it always bugged me that I didn't even know like where to ask. So please check out iNaturalist. If you're really curious, it's cool for kids too. If you have some kids, go out and hike. Get the fuck out. Don't just look at a computer screen all day. Get out there with your friends, your family. Start getting familiar with what's around you. And you could even do it with the neighborhood plants and start, oh, okay, like that's a little bit into what you can get to for botany. You know, there's landscape plants and then there's native plants. I'm familiar with landscape plants because that's what's around me, but directly behind my backyard is protected forest land. So since I was little, I went out into the forest. I have this weird life of being very close to nature, but we always had that boom suburban wall too. So I'm kind of mixed. I was always told, stay on this side, stay on the safe side. You don't know what's there, which is
But
true.
yeah,
We
it's
got
like
cougars. We got
Yeah, it's
cougars.
like you
so
really
careful.
like the nature, but you didn't really like it enough at the time when you were that young to care about what it was doing. You know, it was just there. Yeah, you were like, oh, I like it. It's awesome. It's pretty, but you didn't care enough to give a shit to learn about it.
It's gonna be
You know,
the coolest fort. It's gonna be fucking awesome out there.
right? Yeah, that's the things you thought about when you were a kid. That fucking badass fort you were going to make on that really sturdy tree, right? Because that's what you had to figure out. You had to figure out your uses for these trees when you got out there. And that's what you knew it by. You didn't know it by if it was, you know, a fucking hardwood or, you know, you just knew that fucking, that tree won't fall when I fucking put a big ass.
It's like I
Yeah,
got
we were hunting out
five
campsites, man. Always a new campsite.
Yeah, I like that model too. It's nice to get to some old campsites that you went to as a kid. I'm just like, wow, it's a lot fucking smaller. Dang. Like that hike does nothing, you know, to me now, that 2 mile hike, whatever. When you're a kid, you're just huffing and puffing, but you still loved it. You weren't going to complain because you know, it's a actual like forest jungle gym. I really wish more people would be given the chance to connect to nature more.
You know, I think I like the way you say that, man. Like a forest jungle gym, like because that was the reason I really love being. Because nobody ever told me to get off of shit. I could climb on, jump on, fucking hang through, fuck around with everything in the forest, you know. And I figured out what I should and shouldn't touch. Figured that out, you know, first couple of years when you're out there playing around. But yeah, that's awesome, man. I loved it.
You know, it's funny. I didn't have an issue with what the fuck is it called?
Like
Poison
poison
oak.
ivies.
Yeah, poison.
Okay.
Yeah. We have poison oak down here, and I don't remember ever having an issue with it or ever coming in contact with it. Maybe I did, because when I read about it, there are times when you come into first contact, and it's not going to bug you for some people, not for everyone, but some people will not have a reaction, allergic reaction. And then the second time it'll go fucking crazy on your immune system. So that might have been what it was for me, but I got a really bad poison oak rash when I last went foraging. And that was on me. When you're going outdoors, even if it's hot out, wear a long sleeve. Try to do things like that. Make sure you're wearing pants because you want to avoid ticks, especially. But just try to avoid stuff that can give you like rashes and all that stuff. It'll get you. It got me super bad. My friends know in the neighborhood chat, because I was like, oh yeah, I mentioned that I had it, and I was kind of being like, this fucking sucks. And they're like, huh? Like they thought it was just like, you know, a little red mark, and I put a picture on there, and I'm not going to describe it on here, but it was bad. They're like, dude, I have never seen a reaction like that.
We had
It was like a burn, like an actual burn.
We had a buddy get Lyme's disease from a tick bite, indica bee, actually. And he didn't even know about it for months, and it wreaked havoc on him. And, you know, he thought it was a symptom from something else that he has. So that's some good advice, you know. And if you're going out there, try to prepare yourself for the best, because, you know, nobody thinks about that kind of stuff. And it's fucking tick, you know, and next thing you know, boom.
Yeah, I highly
And you
recommend. Go ahead. You're saying,
Sorry.
Dogs?
I was just going to say, if you check yourself when you come in, you can usually see it.
Great
And
point.
if you take it out, I think it's like within 24 hours, you're likely not to get a disease from it.
Interesting. Yeah, I have a friend, the foraging gardener, and he was like, I don't fuck around with any of that shit. He was like, I fucking strip down and check all that shit. He doesn't care who the fuck is around. He doesn't want to have anything to do with that, because it's starting to spread too, because we're starting to see more warmth, like warmer weather conditions. So that means that's prime environmental stresses for the ticks. Like they can basically breed longer because they don't have to deal with that frost. And that's what he was telling me he was relying on. The closer you are to the cooler and colder seasons, the safer you are. Like, I don't like going out there when it's really hot, because I know I'm getting a bunch of fucking mosquitoes like around me. Like they fucking love me. So I got to make sure that I'm all prepped. Like, that's another thing. Make sure you have water too. There's so much that we're comfortable with, like just walking out the door and being like, I'm a city person. So I'm like, oh yeah, I could go out and know that I'll have water in like an hour. It's not a big deal. But if you're out hiking for like 2 hours, nice. Yeah.
Someone
aware.
take that
Have your
phone
water.
away from Uncle Rick.
Dude, you know, ticks are fucking crazy. They can like wait for like 10 years or something like that without eating, and then drop out of the tree onto something and eat again, and then be fine for years on end.
Yeah, I don't fuck around with any of that stuff, man. And I learned respect for the forest by not. I actually came to that foray with a long sleeve, but I was like, oh, it's the sun's out. I kind of, I think I'm okay. I didn't see any dangers around, and yeah, everywhere below my sleeve got fucked. So make sure you take care of yourself.
When I was younger, me and my sister used to hitchhike all over the place, and she actually got poison oak like from the air. She's like deadly allergic to it. By the time we noticed the rash, like we went to the hospital, it had like spread completely down her arm. She looked like the Elephant Man. Like, it was bad, man. I was just like, oh my God, she's gonna die.
Yeah, my heart goes out to her. I got it really bad the first time, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
I I got some good advice from Dave. He told me about like a specific wash, like something that comes in a tube, like some over-the-counter medicine that you just scrub off, and it takes out the active ingredient that really fucks with your immune system.
Interesting.
I was reading about it. I can't remember what it's called, the substance, but yeah, it's really cool. It once I did that, I took a couple showers of that. I was done.
Oh,
The
very cool.
reaction stopped, but I still had to heal. My skin still had to heal. So that was the biggest issue. And I was just like, oh, never again. Gonna
Yeah,
make
that
sure I'm
sucks.
properly set up and everything. So yeah, it sucks because it gets warm when you're hiking and stuff, but I'd rather just sweat and deal with it than have to deal
Totally.
with what I did before. And yeah, like we were saying before, ticks, no bueno. Don't want to deal with anything like that. And just make sure you take care of yourself.
You also mentioned like that they don't like the cold or whatever, but I will say that like here where I am in Ontario, they've been
Oh, that's way
like
different.
way worse the last couple of years than any other years. Like it's crazy how bad they are now. You got to be really careful.
Yeah, that's so just maybe stay away from going out on the hottest days, especially because they're hopping around way more. You know, they're not going to be able to survive that freeze, or even if they do, their populations will be dramatically lessened.
And am I correct in saying that they like to be in like longer grass and things like that?
You know, I haven't really looked into it. I'm not really sure what they prefer, but I know that they are carried around by animals. That's how they specifically get around too.
Yeah.
They'll like attach and then move around and then detach and then pop up in other places. But I'm sure anywhere where you can find lots of other critters, they're going to be around. So, yeah, make sure you don't watch where you're stepping. Always
Totally.
in the forest. Yeah, they're really cool. Like I said, I wanted to get more into foraging. I just am very careful to not eat anything yet. Other people can do whatever they want. I don't feel comfortable yet, and I've been doing it. I've been looking into this for a couple years, but I've only gotten really serious with it, like studying species and how and what tree grows with this mushroom. If I see this tree, or I'm gonna likely, like if I see an oak, I'm most likely gonna see a lion's mane, for example, going to Fluff's, example. We have a lot of oaks around here in Southern California. So that's the most likely area that's going to have a lot of stuff. But other mushrooms don't have associations with trees by growing directly on them. They'll have mycorrhizal associations. So it'll be within the rhizosphere itself, and that's, within the soil. So that's really cool. So fungus are awesome. Every time I learn something about it, I'm just like, wow, I didn't think they would. They still have so much to offer. And I'm always humbled by it. Just like, whoa, if this wasn't around, we wouldn't have so many of the fucking coastal oaks that are around. And I've really gotten more into learning about coastal oaks through my natives class, and they're cool. I had no idea how prevalent they were around me. So just looking into that, and I didn't know that actually lion's mane was found in my area, and I found it by looking through iNaturalist, and there was somebody put a picture in just showing that they found it, and it was ID'd as lion's mane. And I was like, no fucking way. So I can find that kind of stuff, and oysters are in my area as well. So I'm really stoked to actually find something. Unfortunately, we here in Southern California, it's really mycophobic, like I mentioned before, and they don't allow you to pick any mushrooms. So what I'm gonna be doing to kind of work within those restrictions is just taking like spore swabs. So I'll have like my own little like mushroom lab kit, and I'll have some sterile cotton swabs. So if it's a guild mushroom, it'll be even easier, and I'll take a clean cotton swab, get in there, get within the gills, and pick up some spores. If I was allowed to pick those mushrooms, then yeah, I would actually, snip it off and make a spore print and try to get way more spores that way. But because I don't even know if what I just mentioned would be legal either. Maybe they would try to come after me even with that. That's how protective they are down here of the wilderness. But I also do commend that kind of mentality of being really protective, because California is very populated. So more and more forests are getting cut down, and there's less species here as time goes on. So I'm totally with their mindset of, hey, we have to protect everything. But if you go up to Northern California, there's like, yeah, you can pick it, go for it. I wasn't able to use it last year. I'm super fucking sad about it. But I got a commercial mushroom picker's license for a Northern California forested area. And you don't need to pick mushrooms there. You do need a permit to just let them know, like, hey, yeah, I'm going to pick up some mushrooms. And they'll give you just like the basic one. And it's basically like I think it's like you can fill up a 5-gallon bucket is the normal one. And with the commercial one, you could do like 20 of those buckets. So that's why I spent a couple bucks. It was like $25, $20, something along those lines. And I was actually making plans to go up there, and then stuff happened in the world that didn't allow me to use it, unfortunately. So I'm actually going to be looking into doing that again. And I have some friends up in Northern California, and I let them know what I was thinking. They're like, yeah, I'd want to join you, because they're not as familiar with it either. They're actually from Southern California like me, but they're actually attending UC Davis. So it'd be cool. I'll go up there, rent a like Airbnb for like a week or something like that, depending on my schedule for school. I should really be looking into that, because the time's coming for spring break, and that's the best time for me to have some free time and be able to work that within my schedule. And there's still fruiting mushrooms, because part of the wet season here goes into spring. So that'll be perfect timing. I really want to get that. And I'll just let her know, like, hey, this is my time off. I gotta get it. I gotta go up here, and I'll be able to hang out with them and everything. Oh, dad frog. Get a bowl in.
Well, I'm all excited now because my girlfriend's fucking amazing. And I don't know if it's amazing or she just took pity on me or whatever it is, but she went and hooked me up with a can of butane. Might have just got sick and tired of that mopey look in my eyes. Either way, dab time is now a doable thing. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Either way, get it hot, motherfucker.
I'm vaping on some Scarlet Begonias.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's one that I bought with the intentions of working in the very near future. And then got pushed back and back and back. And then a good friend of ours, G-Bay, was looking to work with some Irish stuff. So I was like, well, dude, I'm just sitting on these. Just make some F2s for it and send those my way, and as a return, and fucking we'll call it good, kind of thing. But really, yeah, I'm excited to actually get to that eventually when I do. What kind of thing?
I was really excited about him. When he said I'm discontinuing them, I picked up 2 packs. So I just got into the first one. I still got like 6 left. But I thought along the same lines as you. I'm just going to take those, cross them into themselves, make some more, so that if I need them later, or someone that I meet wants to get into growing, here, you don't have to spend $100 right away. You can start right away with this. I'm not going to charge you for
genetics. That's one of the big keys there. Like, when I first started growing, I was using a company that's kind of a bit of ill repute right now, so we won't even give them any sunshine at all. But that was what was available that I could find at that time. It's better than nothing. You can't fucking harder shit on a person for getting what they can get, kind of, you know. But then there's a whole bunch of, say, average to slightly above average genetics out there. But then when you start getting into some of this better stuff, like Jeff stuff with Irie or Ethos in-house, and you know, the list goes on, because there is a lot of really quality fire breeders out there. It's like, yeah, this is what I'm growing now is a hell of a lot different than what I was growing then, is I guess what I'll say, is trying to say.
Oh man, you're awesome for mentioning Ethos, because that's exactly who I was trying to remember that sorry, that Lovin' in Her Eyes uses their genetics. So you totally helped me out cross that fucking bridge where I was like, what the fuck breeder was it?
Got a cut of their grape diamonds that it's sticking around for the foreseeable future. I heard
good things from everything.
Yeah, dude.
I got a crescendo growing right now, and the motherfucker is the way it is growing makes me want to keep it. I'm not even in fucking flower yet. Like, it is a gorgeous fucking plant.
I gotta give a shout out to G-Bay, because he's experimenting with some flowers right now, and he has named them after us.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah, he said today, he's like, I'm sorry, Gigi, you didn't make the cut. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Uncle Rick, you made the cut.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to throw that out there. I
that's
thought that
awesome,
was kind of cool, yeah.
G Betty doing cool fucking things. I always love seeing him show up on Friday with his little hat on, looking like a fucking Backstreet Boy.
Yeah, he looks so young.
I'm just trying to find the guy on Instagram now so we can pull it up. And then you think I could find him easily enough? No, not a chance.
Hey, you know, Raptor, I was thinking when you were talking about the books and stuff earlier, you know, when getting a text-to-speech book or getting like an Audible book, I just wanted to throw out a suggestion out of there, because I do a lot of books on Audible, and I thought it was going to be great to go into some of these gardening books. But if I could say anything, listen to the preview first, because I love the book Teeming with Microbes, but I could not listen to that fucking book on Audible to save my life. I could not stand the guy who fucking read it. I would have rather had a robotic text-to-speech read that book to me than listen to that guy read that book. Like, I just couldn't do it, man. So, you know, definitely check out the preview to the book to make sure you can stand them fuckers before you can get it.
That's another reason why I like using those kinds of apps, because you can change the voice that's on there. So I think the default is male. That's typically on there. So you can choose what kind of language that's going to be spoken, and not just that, the accent, you know. So you can have an Australian or an actual Englishman or a US accent, and it has all these, and it's fun to hear that and have it be, hear the male and female too. So if you are the kind of person that maybe it's easier to listen to a male's voice, I go with a female's voice. I go with a English lady. It sounds so proper. And it's fun. It's fun
like
to
Mary
hear
Poppins,
all the
just
different.
always
Yeah,
reading to you.
yeah. I feel like I'm getting a proper education.
Yeah, a spoonful of sugar and all that bullshit.
Yeah, I really like those kind of things. I've gotten different. Some people have said they just can't listen to that, and just totally understand. I don't know if you could pay for a better one, and it having better voices that are less robotic and more kind of like talking normal like we do now, like we can fully understand each other. But I am a very low budget person. I'm a student. My money goes to my education, and I'm saving up for some land to live off of and take care of the next generation of my family. I don't have kids myself, but I'm an uncle. So even though they're not my kids, they're fucking my kids. I'm going to think about them. I'm going to make sure if there's something I can do, give them something, they're going to have it. Even if they are not into all the crazy shit I'm into, growing plants, growing mushrooms, having a worm farm on there. Hey, they have a place where they can work, that they're not going to be mistreated. They're going to learn a hard day's work. They're going to appreciate where their food is going to come from. They're going to know that the way a lot of other people live is not normal. You know, the fact that most kids out there know what a McDonald's sign looks like, a Taco Bell sign, a Chipotle sign looks like, but you show them a leaf and they don't know what that is, that's a problem. So that's another reason I want to get my own land. Even if it's kind of within the city area, I want to at least have an acre. I might have to move out of the state, which it's sad because I love where I live, but if I need to go to another place, I will. And where I live right now, like I mentioned before, it's suburbia. So I have a lot more restrictions on me, and it's way more pricier. My ideal kind of area to live in is an agricultural area, because you will still need some permits, but it's way less permits. You know, out in farmland, you know, if you want to build something, you can just fucking build it. You know, if you want to build a chicken coop, you can build a chicken coop. There's no license saying, oh, there's a restriction. You know, you have to only have 12 chickens. You know, over here, I lived, it's like in a canyon area. So before it became a city and a lot of the, you know, city folk came in, it was really rural. So they had chickens, they already had that stuff. So when I looked at the laws, we were actually allowed up to like 2 chickens here, which is crazy. Just because of how restrictive it is here, it just blew my mind. I was like, fuck, I might get some chickens. I'm all into living a simpler life, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna give up electronics and all that stuff. You know, I'm gonna go like Unabomber, shit like that. It's like, no, I can fucking live off my own. I ideally would like a nice dab. I would like an acre, like I said, and have some stuff growing on there and not get hassled because I'm growing whatever plant. People mind their own business too. Yeah, it's a different mentality for sure. I maybe I'm wrong. Is that how it is up in Canada? Is like is it more restrictive uh, or less restrictive up in agriculture areas?
Not it's getting increasingly more so. It's very restrictive, but not so much at the moment. Sorry for having my torch on there a couple minutes ago. I thought I was on mute. I was
Oh, all good.
but I was just fucking around a minute before that, heating up my dab torch because I needed to be hot. And I set the fucking smoke detector off in the hallway. And it's also beep, beep, beep. And this fucking smoke detector talks to you, telling you there's a fire, like in a very monotone voice, like you're just talking about reading voices, right? It wasn't the British lady or anything, but yeah, it's like there's a fire. It's like, where? Like my dab torch? No, I put that out as soon as I heard the beep, beep, beep. Like, trust me, we're good.
Oh, it's so funny. I haven't heard my smoke alarm go off because I was smoking in a long time. I actually use a wood vaporizer. So it's, some people call it a log vape, whatever. This one is from Underdog Vapes. So I really like them. They used to be in California. They actually had to move away because of fires that happened up in Northern California that really was really bad. So they are located in Oregon now, but I love it. It's pretty simple. And the best thing about it is that I can use my bong with it. Yeah, because this is actually my bowl. Let's see.
Fluff, do you know about that?
Yeah, so you got one of those?
I don't know if I've seen that particular brand. I've seen a couple like that.
A log vape. Yeah,
oh,
but
yeah,
like log vapes. Yeah. They're
like
getting.
Don't
They're,
you
they're
have
nice.
Log Sense, I think, is the biggest company that is like known, and that's why they call them a fucking log vape. But yeah, they're super cool. Yeah. So do you mostly vape, or is it?
I mostly vape. I used to be a smoker when I was like 13, 14. I smoked cigarettes and cannabis. That's when I started smoking both. So I was a very avid smoker up until I was 18. Then I quit. I got really sick with pneumonia, really bad pneumonia. And I continued to smoke while I had pneumonia, and I got nauseous from that. And every time I would have a cigarette after that, I would have that same nausea. Like that's like wanting to fucking puke. Like, no, I can't handle this. And it gave me headaches from then on too. So I know that there's like a pill that used to be around where it gives you nausea. Like you'd take it and it would give you nausea to quit smoking. So it's weird how that just happens. Yeah, it's weird how that happened without me having to do that. And
I know, I was just gonna say, can I have that flu for like just a couple days?
Yeah, it was my friend. Every one of my friends had it because we shared bongs and we shared joints. So we all got it really bad. And ever since then, I actually stopped, and I drink sometimes too, but not really a lot. If I do have something to drink, it's some eggnog or some Irish cream in my coffee because it's fucking delicious. And
it is delicious.
Like I don't know how that's alcoholic, but it is. Yeah, but I stopped smoking cannabis around like a couple years ago. I started doing, I think I was like 21, 22, something like that. I started using vapes more, and I just had like a knockoff, like I forget what the brand is, but it's a wooden box vaporizer. And I had a knockoff version of that was all plastic. And I look at it now and there's like melted parts on it. I'm like, dude, if I will say this, people that are looking into that, don't cheap out. Get something nice, get something that's going to take the heat. dangerous too, because you get a knockoff, you don't know what the electrical
Yeah, your air paths. What they used. If they're not putting the proper shielding on it, so that those wires and things aren't gassing off into your fucking vape.
it's
Yeah, there's all
special
kinds
heat
of shit.
treated material that's onto those wires that's meant to work with high heat conditions. So that's another reason I really like this one. It's something that's the first time, I think it was like $200 something, a little pricey. You could get other stuff for like 150 and they'll work just fine. I think my friend had it. I can't think about it right now. It's a tower vape though. I think it's like Da Vinci, something like that.
And
Those are
the
pretty good.
tower, like the riser EQ.
Yeah, like a riser. Thank you.
Yeah.
So brands like that, they're cool too. You don't have to spend as much as I did. I liked mine because it looks fucking clean. I like the wood finish on it. I love it. And I love that I could just hold it in my hand and just hit a bowl. Like, this is all I have to do. Boom. And then inhale. So it's just like taking a hit. And I get pretty thick vapor. I don't have an issue with that. And it's cool because I notice with different strains, I get different amounts of vapor. So it's really cool to see the difference in strains that not a lot of people are looking into. But because I don't smoke.
Yeah, I've been
So,
trying to think. So we got a lot of guys who like to make hash, and they're pressing rosin, and so they're looking at their returns on the flowers and things. And I'm kind of trying to correlate the same things, like with what they're picking out to pick for hash and rosin. Does it vape the same way? Are we
right?
looking for an oily? Are we looking for a sandy sip? Are we looking for a lot of it? Are we looking for a little? What are we looking for? What vapes better? Because I've had shit that, for a long time, I kind of bought into that 62% shit. And I don't do that anymore. I don't care. I'm actually usually on a little bit on the lower end, 50, 58, 60, even lower than that. And I've had shit that was dry as shit, just blow fucking clouds off of vape. And you realize it's not from the moisture in the weed that this vapor is coming from. So yeah, that was interesting to figure out what's causing it.
Right. You can experience cannabis just a little differently. I will say it's a little different high. I almost feel like I'm not like hit in the face as much, but depending on how dense your vapor cloud is, like if you like get it pretty dense, then you could get that effect. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that. Like they have more air coming into that hit than actual like the vapor itself. It's less potent, less concentrated vapor, just like you were mentioning. Like sometimes you can get a hit on it and it's just poof, like, did I light that on fire? Like fuck.
And I think a lot of that comes down to just the temperature. When you got that perfect roast, like you said, man, you hit that motherfucker once and it looks like coffee when you're done. You look at it and you're like, yeah, I can't vape that motherfucker again. And you already knew that when you took that hit, because you're like, fuck, I think I just smoked that bitch. Now I gotta clean that motherfucker out because it's gonna taste like garbage. That's the worst.
My friends fucking at the neighborhood laughed at me every time. It's kind of rare. It's probably once every 2-3 months, but I'll take a hit and then it just boom. I got a cherry, and then I'll say, "Oh fuck, I just smoked." And they're like, "What do you mean? Isn't that what you've been doing this whole fucking time?" It's like, no, I've been vaping this whole fucking time. And then they won't hear from me for like 10 minutes because I'm like, oh fuck. When you vape for like a year and then you get actual cherry hit, man, it hits different. So it's cool that you mentioned like looking for different strains and into like breeding and stuff. That's gonna get you a good hit. I think like 95% of the stuff that's out there is meant for they only sampled it from smoke. They haven't really hit, so that's a whole nother marker right there, man. Yeah,
I mean,
you
and
hit the
I've got an array of fucking vapes. I mean, I got all the kind of flavors you want to try, the styles you want to. I've got vapes, and there are people out there that just they don't get it. It doesn't click with them. To me, I can take a rip off of a lot of my vapes, and it's like taking a hit from a dabber. It's perfect flavor. It's
exactly.
amazing. It's and then I can give that same device to somebody, and they say, nope, that tastes like burnt shit to me. And I'm like, how? I'll give him the very first hit off that motherfucker. That one that'll make you cringe from how tasty that motherfucker is. And be like, no, man, tastes like fucking shit.
It's almost like first drinking coffee, you're like, what the fuck? I don't want this burnt water, fucking burnt bean water flavor. And then you start drinking more coffee and you're like, oh, I notice vanilla in this. I notice like almost hints of cinnamon. Some people just don't get it. And that's because their first experience is like, oh, I didn't get a lot of flavor. Yeah. You're saying?
I was just gonna say, yeah, there's very few. Like I'm on the smoking end. I mean, I can enjoy a very slight difference in smoke. Like I don't get a motherfucker would be like, oh yeah, man, I got a mango banana fucking with little anise and that, and I'm like, I got some burnt shit and paper. Like that's it was I don't get anything out of smoke. Very very few times do I ever get shit out of smoke. So
another reason that I really like to vape actually is while other people are waiting for their stuff to cure, I can pick off if it's just right, and give it a day or two, try it, and it tastes fucking so good. That is the best stuff that I could ever have, and I didn't have to wait that long. And it's you could let it cure and it's still going to taste good. But it's not, it's almost like a live extract flavor. That's the flavor you get from live extract. I'm like, I'm just fucking blown away because it's just like getting to sample the plant exactly where you left it, like right before you chop it.
Yeah,
it's so fucking
I
good.
love seeing, when I take that last sniff of, the last sniff, when I chop that motherfucker down that day and then fucking terps are everywhere in my room and I get that fucking sniff, when I grab that very first vape, it almost always tastes like that, man. And that's what we're all looking for, right? That's what we smell. That's amazing. Yeah, when somebody says, oh man, my shit smells like fucking grape bubble gum. Yeah, when I vape it, it tastes like fucking grape bubble gum. Like it's the wildest shit.
Yeah, I get a lot of flavor out of vapes. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with smoking if you like that. I see Spartan, putting up his flag. I will be glass and Bic till I die. And that's cool, man. Stick with that. I actually noticed another reason why I switched to vaping is I've noticed when I go and exercise and run, I actually am able to work out longer. I'm actually able to go out and hike a little longer. And I noticed that in my respiratory system. So maybe it's just me. Hopefully it's just me. I don't want this plant. I don't think this plant really hurts you if you smoke it, but I did notice less like I had a much deeper breath, like inhale and exhale when I just switched. And I was just like, oh, there's a lot less organic matter and like almost like resin, that's not there. So hey, it works for me. If you smoke, go for it. I have nothing against it. But I will say that when I vape, man, it's so fucking good.
For me, I'm a welder, and I'm a welder in the industrial trades. I'm around bad shit all the time. Fly ash, fucking coal, all the crap that we go in. I was just looking for something a little healthier for my lungs, trying not to put any more in than I had to. So that's why I did it. And then I just fell in love with the flavor and everything else, man. So, and don't get me wrong, I still love to twist up a fucking fatty and just go out and burn down a big fat joint, dude. And that is my all-time preferred way. Is just a big fat fucking hog leg,
Man, I will say, I miss my pipes, my fucking heady pipes, and just smoking off that. And I technically could still use it, and I'm always home, so I like this. I just use this as a desk unit. So, or I should say, I only vape when I'm home. That's when I feel comfortable. If I gotta go out for like when I do my California native class, that's like the longest I was there was like 8 hours with my professor, because he asked everyone, oh, do you want to go on a hike? And if you say no, it's okay, you can leave. But we all said yeah, and we extended it like 3 more hours. So it was like an 8-hour class. I can't vape out there. I would like to. I mean, I'm sure I could. I just don't really feel like going and fucking sneaking away. So another benefit of vaping is I get the ABV, I get the already been vaped cannabis, and all I do is I put that on a PB&J sandwich. The fat so first off, it's already decarbed. Boom. Didn't have to fucking do anything. So put that on a PB&J. The peanut butter has the fat, so that's the carrier. I just eat that. I'm good to go. Yeah, it's gonna have a weedy flavor. So if you're not into that, make a coconut oil extract from it, and then put that on whatever. You can use it. Just put it on your tongue. Don't have to eat anything. Boom.
We're also, just for some of the people in chat who might not know, we're also not talking about a vape of like distillate bullshit. I'm not down for fucking distillate vapes. I'm not. Yeah, no, this is flower. We're talking about like vaping actual flower. The same shit you roll in your joint, I am vaping. Exact. So, it's not we're not doing that distillate crap. We're not vaping carts.
I find whenever I smoke distillate, I like 2 puffs tops and my lungs feel all wheezy and just gross, and all of a sudden I can't even breathe regular air anymore for 5-10 minutes. It's not good. I got a bit of a question here. I've been noticing, I notice it periodically. I'm a heavy smoker and I've got weak lungs. I got bitch lungs. I'll be the first to say it. I'm a cougher. And right now I'm in one of those phases where I just seem to be doing a lot more coughing and stuff like that. Switching to vaping is that gonna like kind of free that up a little bit over time? And
I noticed way less of a that feeling you get, just an irritated feeling under your trachea, like right here.
Yeah.
That only happens if I took I'm looking at my vapor now and it's actually a little too warm. So if you're not paying attention to how warm your stuff is getting, and you'll get the irritation from the warmth of the hit than you're inhaling. But it's way less apparent when in comparison to eating it with fire.
Down, right. Well, the farther you vape it down, so the longer you're using that same cannabis, the more and more you're going to start feeling it in your lungs. But also the stonier it's going to start getting. It's more, you get more into what feels like smoking a joint. You know what I mean? So that's when it starts. You start to get that cough because it starts to get dry. It gets harsh. You're getting the high temperature volatile terps, which are your THC and things like that. So this is when you're really getting the shit that's going to get you high anyway. So it's kind of hard. It's the stuff that's expanding your lungs. So you still get that, when you breathe, you want to fucking cough because your lungs feel like they're fucking opening up. But it's kind of like you said, it's more of the feeling when you take a dab rather than, smoke. When you smoke too much, it's a different feeling. in your lungs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's almost like even if you drink water, like it's not going to go away kind of feeling, like the irritation that you get. But yeah, I got a cherry on one of my vape hits because I hit it too hard, and yeah, boom. I instantly noticed the difference. That's when I'll typically cough the hardest if I
Yeah.
do. But yeah, you could totally have too hot of a hit and get that feeling still. And I feel like you're getting super, no matter what the source of it is, whether it's tobacco or whatever, you're still putting burnt matter into your respiratory system. Like, if I can avoid it, yeah. And the cool thing is, you don't have to get what I got. You could get that aerizer that you mentioned, and I think that there's a tube for it that lets you connect that bowl to whatever glass gauge you got. And then
Yeah,
it's
that's
cool
shit.
because you get water filter. Yeah, and then you don't get any matter in your lungs. It's all vape, nice and clean. So, and that's going to cool it down too.
Yeah, I've actually got that Airizer Q Extreme, and I'm a big fan of it. My problem is, and I've got a Dynavap too, and I'm a fan of that as well. But to me, they're almost like more of novelties where I bring them out and I use them for a bit, and then like I'm really bad for out of sight, out of mind, and I'll stop using it for each of them for whatever reason or no reason at all, really, and then they just kind of fall out of cycle and like that. And I keep thinking like, I should use those things more often, but it's the old habits die hard thing where I just keep falling back to joints. Plus, like everyone I work with and hang out with around here, everybody's into joints. It's the go-to thing, it seems like, right? So
Yeah, nothing wrong with getting a joint rolled up, whether I don't think I used to roll pinners. I used to roll nice fat joints. So anything from there in between. I don't think I could roll another pinner in my life. Like I don't see it as necessary because I have more than enough. But that does remind me another reason of why I like vaping. I'm pushing way back on my consumption. I need way less to get to where I need to be to feel nice and comfortable. I have anxiety issues. That's part of my medical, why I have medical and everything. And I have some pain issues from some old injuries. So I need to have more than one bowl, sometimes depending on the strain. And it's nice. It's nice to have that, but I feel like if I had a J, that'd be way too much. I recently rolled one and I got through half of it. I'm like, I'm fine. I don't really need as much. It almost trained my body to use less. But since I've been eating my ABV, I've noticed my tolerance getting a little higher. So, but I don't eat it every day. I eat it probably once or twice a week because yeah, the classes where I go out for like 5 to 8 hours. Yeah, I'm just gonna have that with me. So that's
I
gonna
can't
last.
stand the burps, dude. The ABV burps, can't do it. Oh, they're so bad.
Yeah, that I want to get into making almost that coconut extract, so I can get away from that.
So you can
Maybe
do that.
that'll
It
help.
still tastes bad. It still tastes
It's
like
still
ABV when you do it. So what I have heard though is you can like water cure it. So almost like basically make tea with it, right? So water soak it, let it fucking not warm water though, so it's supposed to be like room temperature water, right? But let it soak let it soak until you finally get clear water. And then once you do that, you shouldn't have stripped any THC or any of the cannabinoids back off, right? Because they're not water soluble. So they should still be on there. They should still be on your material and everything else. All you've done was strip off any of the burnt,
Yeah,
stuff that's on there.
like
They
char
call it like,
almost. Yeah.
yeah, they just call it like water curing, and then use it, and it should actually be flavorless, like completely flavorless, and still have the cannabinoids.
That's an interesting one. I haven't really looked into it. I like the PB&J kind of method because that toasty kind of weed flavor goes
It
with
goes
the
well with
peanut
the
butter.
peanut butter.
And it's like
Yeah.
when I first had that, I'm like, what the fuck? And now I'm getting all these different kinds of like preserves. And the most recent one I got was cherries. So it fucking tastes so good. It's just peanut butter, cherries, and I use this bread. I don't use white bread. Use this like really tastes great. This multigrain bread, this organic multigrain. I think it's Dave's Killer Bread. I don't know if you guys get that up there. If you, yeah, I fucking love it. It tastes great. I toast up my bread a little bit, get that going. I'm eating that on my way, and I'm fucking solid. I'm not like on the floor either. It's cool because you can just do like 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon. You can measure it out, dose yourself on that too. So I like that. It also works with I also just like the fact that I could give it away. Like if I meet someone that needs this as a medicine, but maybe they can't smoke because they have respiratory issues. Well, here you go. Tell them the same thing I did. Just something simple. Put it with some peanut butter, get your favorite jam, your favorite jelly, whatever, your favorite preserve, and you're good to go. Or just tell them like, hey, maybe even I guess you could put it in some desserts and have it like that and have them make their own brownies. But uh, if somebody really needed me to take out that having to eat the cannabis itself, I would just make a coconut oil extract for them. Just be like, here, put this on your tongue or put this on your food, eat it up, try to use something that's going to hide that flavor. It's still going to be there. But yeah, I'll have to try out that other method you were mentioning because I think we can, I could probably use that. And it makes sense. You're just constantly seeping out all that extra, like almost burnt popcorn flavor is what I heard people say. Yeah, it's a good idea. But yeah, I like that. I could just give that away. Like I think I gave some away 2 months ago or something like that to one of my friends, and she didn't have anything, and she was going to work, and I was telling her how I was using this stuff, and she's like, I can't vape at work. I can't do anything at work. And she was fucking miserable. So I was like, here, I mailed it to her. I was like, use this whenever you want. You don't have to fucking pay me. Uh, I
I already
sent out
got
one of
my
my
use
messenger
of it.
raptors. Yeah, I got mine. I got everything I wanted out of it. And if you're, uh, it's just nice to have, regardless of the situation. Even if you don't need it, I recommend just keeping it on the side, and you might meet someone that will. But there's nothing wrong with throwing it in the compost. That's what I was doing before. But then I realized it's so valuable besides just compost. Like I think I could actually use this to help people and if they have a
You
problem eating
can.
it. Hmm?
Well, that's what I was. I used to make pills out of mine.
Yeah,
And I
nice.
used to tell everybody. So like one full pill, right? And my little brother fucking loves them. They are like perfectly exact, like an aspirin, for
He
him.
knows just one of those.
Yeah, one of those, like taking a fucking Tylenol. Two of them is taking like a real light, muscle relaxer. Three of them, you can dose it that way really easy because they're super fucking light. So uh, the only problem is, in those pills, you still get the burps. They taste
Yeah.
bad.
Maybe I just don't know. I'm used to it, or maybe because the peanut butter just like works with it. I got some really good advice from my friend Genetic Memory Farms, he was telling me mix it up with chocolate, and then that toasty flavor goes with almost like the chocolatey flavor. So depending on how you like it, I recommend using dairy, but if you don't like that or some reason you can't use it, put in coconut oil to get that fat carrier. But also the chocolate itself will be a carrier. It can be used so many ways. I still need to try that chocolate method, but from what my friend told me, he was like, that you don't taste anything. You're fine. And it's almost like a Rice Krispie treat because you get the crispy ABV. So I really need to try that out. I forget the brand of chocolate he was mentioning, but I think it was like a French term. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Yeah, we did. Which vaporizer do you have again, Fluff?
Oh, I have a lot of them. The one
What are you using now? What's your go?
My go-to usually my Mighty.
That's cool. I've looked into that. I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of good things.
Yeah,
So what'd that run you?
like $400.
Okay.
If you enjoy vaping, well worth. When they say this is kind of it doesn't do anything. Some vapes do a lot of things do one thing really, really well, right? Like it'll have a great flavor, or it'll give you a really great hit, or they don't kind of like, or it'll give you a
But
really
it doesn't
great
heat up
high.
fast enough.
Yeah, but
There'll
there's
be
like little
this
things.
is great, but it's lacking.
Yeah, this thing is not great at anything, but it excels at everything when it comes to vape. The flavor is great. It's not too hot. It hits hard. You don't have to fucking hit it hard. You don't have to hit it soft. Like
The draw is
it's
easy.
It's super user friendly. It's super consistent, which is anybody who's used a vape, if they're that's the biggest drawback that keeps people away from using them, is the consistency of them. They'll have a great fucking hit, like you said, you'll fucking roast that motherfucker and it'd be great. And you'd be like, yeah. And then you'll get a shitty, like a fucking whole shitty bowl. You're like, I don't know, man. The motherfucker just doesn't seem to want to hit right, So until you kind of get familiar with your vape and how to use your vape properly, that's the biggest drawback to them.
There's definitely a learning curve for sure.
Yeah. So this, super fucking user friendly, like this, not fucking super user friendly. You're going to take some time to get used to this, but this will this will kick you right square in the fucking teeth. Like one hit, clearable, fucking soup, like you smoked. Amazing. This won't do that ever. Like you can't get that to do that. You need like 3 of them and hit them all at the same time to get the same hit this will give you. But you're going to have to figure out for like a month of using this thing and fucking roasting bowls, cleaning this really wondering why the hell you bothered by it sometimes. And then you get that, and then you start getting those hits that are perfect and they're just everything you wanted. You're like, that's why I bought it. So
Suddenly I have a question though. That thing's worth $400, right?
Yeah,
About rough, give or take roughly. Well, I'm just
400.
sitting here, and so our question for Uncle Rick. Uncle Rick, when you're pimping out profits, Mom, exactly how many dicks does she have to suck to earn $400 on average?
Well, at 50 cents a suck, do the math.
I can't count that high. I got my socks on right now.
Cherry pie,
You have this one too?
Yeah, I have that one too. Yeah, that one's a great one.
He pretty much has them all. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
I have tested and own a lot of them.
Nice. Yeah, I've owned a couple over the years, and there was one that worked off of butane that actually worked really well, but then I guess I used shitty gas because it stopped working. And then when I would contact Light or something like that, when I contact the manufacturer, they were just like, nah, they kept blaming it on the gas. And I was like, fuck this. That's when I started looking into electricity. you know, I wish that they were a little better in terms of like being able to have a handheld unit and I could just go out anywhere and just, okay. Yeah. Back
Yeah,
like 10 years ago, that Iolite it had really good reviews, but to see what it is now, it's come a long way. So I'm glad that Mighty, how old is it? Like how old is that?
This runs in some of the first like quality vapes that were made. Stores in Bickle have been it's the same people who do the Volcano.
Yeah.
Kind of like the first real vape that most people ever think of, the Volcano. This is kind of like handheld Volcano, really, is the best way you can say it. Sort of, you know, a mini handheld Volcano is really, it's the same design, heater, all that shit. It's just not powered and blowing up a fucking bag. But they've been around for fucking years and years. I want to say eight to 10, maybe. That vaporizer, I think, has been around that long.
Yeah, like back when it first came out, I looked into it. Fuck, I couldn't afford it then. I actually have a lot more savings now, so I can afford it now. I'd prefer to use whatever I have saved for that. So that's the cool thing. You could spend up to that or even more for those kinds of units, or you could get something for $150. That's
You
a
can,
tabletop unit,
and then
and it'll
like,
get you what you need to go.
yeah, and then it's just like you said, though. You know, you just got to be aware of the faults of these things. You know, there's great companies. And just do your due diligence about them. You know, check out those reviews and shit, because you don't want to get something for your health only to realize it's doing worse things to you than just smoking the shit would be. You know, because you wanted to save a few bucks. And right, I'm not saying go out and get a. It took me a long time and a lot of vapes, and to realize that yes, I want
It's worth
to,
it for
like,
you. Yeah.
vaping's my way, right? Vaping is my way. I'm gonna do that more than anything. So when I realized that, this was the purchase, right? It's the one I wanted. It's the one I was like dreamed of. It's kind of like my Lamborghini or something, you know. It's, if I could, I should, I would. It's gonna be the one I have forever, or till it dies. So I'm gonna spend the money. That's kind of the way I thought on that one.
Yeah, you could also go the route of the like distillate. I just don't like using it. I don't see a reason
There's no
myself.
soul in that shit.
Yeah, and I've actually learned that you could fill up a cart with rosin if you like. I think it was low temp vapes on their Instagram, and I even posted it on my stories that they were showing an example how to do it. So check out their Instagram.
You
And
can,
you can
take,
yeah.
they make a few different companies make like a saucing agent to be able to take any of your stuff. But like a good live resin or rosin, you can actually just take, it only takes like a few drops of like terpenes to thin that out enough to make it go through one of those carts, and then you have a super nice cart.
And
Yeah,
honestly, the only thing that happens is it's sometimes too thick, so it clogs up. And like, I just take like a fucking pin and just stick it through, and it usually is fine.
that's
Yeah,
cool. So
usually
you
you just got to
guys
run those a
test?
little warmer.
Nice. I still am not, I have not getting into that. Shout out to people that have and know what they're doing. Purple Thumb OG, you fucking kill it. Can't wait to try some of your stuff someday. Yeah, I would love to get into that. And it's so cool that you could, so many people told me that you couldn't get in a cart. And then I started learning more about it. And I think he even has that, what you were talking about, not the terps, but a special solution that allows you to get it into a cart. Yeah, I'd love to get into rosin. I am totally fine with just having some vape flower. it works for me. So I'm in no rush, but I would love to get into it. You got to head out, Fluff, or you got a call?
Oh, yep. Nope. I was just gonna say, yeah, I was just gonna peace out and not make a thing. But yeah, man, it's my bedtime.
Have a
I'm an
good one,
old
man.
man. Man, it's been great talking with you, brother. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks, man. Cool talking to you about vapes.
Have a great night, Fluff.
Yeah, we can do this again. Fucking chat. Love you guys.
All right.
Fucking keep it sexy, motherfuckers.
I'm gonna
He
bounce
was
off too.
staring at my ass.
I'm actually gonna bounce
It's funny,
off.
as soon as you started talking about vapes, you could see Fluff just kind of perk up a bit, because kind of since day one he's been like the kind of more on the techie
Vapes,
side of
vapes,
things.
vapes. Yeah,
no,
Dave was telling me that there was someone on the panel that's like totally into vapes. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Nice little
Yeah.
chat.
Oh,
Nice
and
little segment.
he would gladly sit here and do an entire probably 3-4 hour show with you
Vape
just about
reviews
vapes
with
alone.
Raptor.
Yeah. Clear everybody out to the sides and just get to it.
One of the tastiest hits I've ever had was off of Dynavap that Fluff brought up with him when he came to visit. And I don't know, I got one, but I just can't seem to, there's a learning curve, you know, and I just haven't
Definitely.
been long enough to get that learning curve with it. But yeah, that thing was amazing. It's a whole different high, a whole different experience, you know. So.
I've noticed that too. And just like I was mentioned before, I'm able to work out way longer. I notice a big difference in just how I breathe and how I sleep too. When I get sick, it's not for as long either. And just like you're saying, flavor, man, it's, if you have the chance on your next harvest, you know, but if you got some lowers, pick them off. See the difference between smoking that and vaping it at that stage. Let them dry off to where you're comfortable. And yeah, man, I've noticed such a difference in flavor. It's just like tasting the plant.
Yeah, really.
I know. It's like live resin. Exactly.
Yeah. But you get that other terp profile from it because it's not getting to that temperature, you know what I mean, most of the time. Or you can, I guess, with a Dynavap if you want, but
yeah, you can totally still use it to smoke.
Way, you know, and the way the oil's vaporizing is completely different. So yeah, it's just different. But it was amazing. It was one of the best ones, yeah. So I definitely love that thing, and I got it at work. It's my work for my at work when it's busy and stuff like that, and I don't have time to. You know, flower's really loud sometimes. So when you're smoking like joints and shit like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty sure the first hit I ever took was from a joint. So still love a good J. I just haven't found a reason to roll one up, really. You know, I will say this, if I have a new strain, I will start considering rolling a J and tasting it, so I know, hey, if I do recommend it, as if it's good smoke, like yeah, I actually smoked it. I'll actually have a good review instead of saying, well, yeah, it tastes good, because I might think it tastes great and then it doesn't taste good in a bowl or however you have your bowl.
And a lot of people that don't smoke joints, if they smoke a joint, they, like Fluff said, it just tastes like burnt paper and shit, you know? So if you're able to taste a good flavor through that, and you're not used to, you know what I mean, that paper burn taste and everything like that, that should be a pretty good fucking tasting joint.
Yeah, it's like the conversation we were getting into before, is crazy to think about how all of the strains basically out there were from someone just having it in a bowl, having it in a joint. How many of them were selected from a person that just vapes? Like, man, I don't really think there's a lot, but who knows? Maybe there'll be that'll be something to consider in the future, like where you're buying your seeds from. Like, do you just vape? Because I know right now we're actually getting into that conversation that there's breeders that just breed for hash. Like, I know that that Jeff's work just dumps when you extract it. So
Morning
it's
dew right now, and I haven't flowered it out yet, but I got two different phenos in bed, so I'm excited to see how that flowers out. And I just recently really started getting into hash more, and specifically kind of solventless.
right.
And stuff like that. So it's just
Solvents or solventless?
solventless.
Yeah, I have some bubble bags I need to break out, and I was actually gonna do it a couple weeks ago, but we got a really warm couple, like I think for 2-3 weeks it was really warm, so it wasn't getting to the temperatures that I would like to do it at this kind of year. And let me see, I think it's like 50 degrees outside right now because it's rainy, so we're getting it's a little cooler than it would normally be. So now would be the best time for me. So I'm probably gonna be doing it tomorrow. I have school, so I can't really do it tonight. I'll probably set something up for the day after. I already, a lot of my free time right now just goes straight to school. I don't even like hang out with my friends anymore. It's just like I'm so busy with my homework. Ever since I started up the math portion of it all, I was like, no, now I have no free time. So I'll just like go on Instagram, like some stuff, and I'm like, do I have free time, like an hour to go talk to everyone? I'm like, no, I really don't. So it's kind of sucks, but I could always go in there and just make sure I do as much as I can in a day, and then the next day I can go hang out. But man, it's fucking hard right now. I was never, my biggest flaw in school is and was time management. So if I procrastinate, I'm a procrastinator. So sometimes I'll leave it to the last minute, but lately I've been pretty on top of everything. And that made me realize, like, fuck, I was doing it all wrong. do I do have some free time, or when I do have time, it goes to the garden. It's going to my other interests like mushroom cultivation. It's going into me breaking down cardboard, so it goes to my new mushroom projects or to my worms. And I'm getting into more composting as well. I actually posted up in my Instagram, but I learned about it 1 year to 2 years ago. It's called the Johnson Sioux bioreactor, and it's super fancy fucking name for just a compost heap that has a lot of airflow going through. So I made a mini version of it, and it's just a 25-gallon, might be like a 35-gallon trash bin. I drilled some holes on the side. I got this corrugated pipe that already was pre-drilled, and I actually drilled some more holes because I wanted more airflow on each side, more even airflow. And I really like that because with doing that, I don't have to turn. All I do is I put browns and greens, my carbons and my nitrogens in there, and that's it. When I put my veggie scraps in there that I don't put into my warm bin, boom, I add more carbon. And then I close the fucking lid. I wet it down. That's the most important thing that I say here. What's helping it is there's moisture in there. So that's breaking everything down. That, and then the oxygen, having the right balance of carbon to nitrogen, typically 1 part nitrogen to 30 parts carbon. And you could look this up online, and it'll tell you how much your food scraps are and how much parts carbon are in your cardboard. And there's a lot. It's like over 560 parts carbon to nitrogen in your cardboard. So don't throw that fucking shit away. I'm really big on recycling. If you can't tell, I keep on harping back on it. And I think it's a big deal because we have so much. We can make our own fertilizer. I think that's pretty fucking cool. and I don't need to go buy it. I just need to say to my neighbor, hey, I saw that you had like 50 things from Amazon come in. What are you doing with that cardboard? Oh, I'm going to throw it out. It's like, all right, do you care if I take it? No. So you could have it go to compost. You can have it go to your worms and make vermicastings. You can have it go to your mushrooms and you can get some mushrooms out of it. I'm really excited for this next year because of what I'm getting into, and I'm adding mushrooms into my recycling process. So that'll be really cool. So what I'll be doing is taking most of my carbon, having that being focused on making mushrooms, using that, eating that, getting all the yields off of as many flushes as I can, and then taking that waste, that block of all that myceliated mass, throw it in my worm bin. Boom. Okay, that goes through, and then I use that on my plants. And then I use my plants to start up the cycle again and put the cannabis stalks with the cardboard and all that recycling for the mushrooms. And I'm starting to see this big cycle. I'm building up more compost. I had a big problem before trying to figure out how I could have a compost in my urban area, and I didn't have a lot of space. Like I'm grabbing the sides of my head because it's been such a headache for me, because I know that there's all of this carbon around and I have all this food waste stream going through. Like, I don't like doing that. Once I realize where it goes and it's just making more problems for people in the future, man, if I don't have to be a part of that, and I can even help other people not be a part of that, great. And I'm getting some food out of it, and I'm getting some medicine out of that. You can make medicine out of mushrooms too. You can make extracts out of that, and then you're getting even more value out of everything. So just bear that in mind. You can use all those things in a cycle and improve your life so much, and even just through your community as well. You can teach people about mushroom cultivation. You could teach people how to raise worms. I think every household should have a worm bin. That'd be really fucking cool. And I think every household should have a bin that's making mushrooms out from your cardboard, and then you're feeding that. And even if you don't garden, those people could sell that, or just give it away, all that compost, all those resources, and give it away or sell it to other gardeners. And then we got more people growing. It's increasing the health of the community of your. I don't have my family isn't the healthiest. There's older people as well that would really benefit from the lion's mane. The lion's mane can really help their for neurogenesis. And if you take this with psychedelics, the psilocybin mushrooms, if you take them together, it will have this neurogenesis, is Paul Stamets calls it. And you're actually preventing dementia. So I have a family member that suffers from dementia. So this hits me a little closer than other people. So it could help for Alzheimer's as well, to prevent, or even if you have a family member that does have Alzheimer's, that could help them recover. And maybe they might not get to their old self, but they'll be that much more of their old self than they were before. So all this goes so much deeper. I've joked around and kind of lightly touched up on it, but yeah, it could help a lot of people. And every one of us in the cannabis community is already familiar and okay with working with stuff that's a little weird, that's out of the norm. So we're already comfortable. So who cares if we're out of the norm? I don't give a fuck how weird people see me. I'm actually helping my family. I'm actually fucking getting some healthy food out of it because I worked hard and I made use of other people's discoveries to implement into my life. And like I said before, you can use this if you don't have any skills, you don't have a job, and this interests you, that could be a business. You could have your own business and you don't have to rely on anyone else. You know, hire a couple people. When business picks up, things get a little more expanded. You can actually provide for your family even more than just food. And you can, there's so much that you can, so many benefits that you can get out of this. And yeah, I plan in my future with my own property, like I mentioned before, implementing all this stuff. I want to have outdoor mushroom cultivation and indoor going for my family and people if they want to stop by, almost like a mushroom farm. Yeah, pick it up and maybe sell it to people in the community. You can also make a living teaching people all this stuff and making classes. Like, come on, I get really excited when I hear that people are into mushrooms and growing themselves. So it's cool to hear from you guys. You're into psychedelics. I'm pretty sure you'd be okay with the specialty mushrooms. Down here in the States, anything that isn't a button mushroom is specialty mushrooms. So keep that in mind. It's like those, they're known as gourmets. So a lot of our, they were actually going over this in my indoor mushroom cultivation class today. And most of the mushrooms that we're getting in the US is from Pennsylvania. So you're getting something from states away when you could just grow something better that tastes better. You know, not all mushrooms taste the same. Like we were getting into, some of them taste like almonds. Some of them will have a cinnamon taste. Some of them will taste like crustaceans. So the lion's mane is known to have like a crabby lobster flavor. And you could like
enjoy yet. So that's the thing. Like, I am so for all the medicinal benefits for it, right? But I fucking hate the taste of mushrooms. They all taste like, yeah, just, yeah.
You know, I've heard that's the most reoccurring thing I've heard. So I recommend that first try to find a market or a store that sells different mushrooms. Like they'll sell some lion's mane or they'll sell some oysters. Try the oysters. Some of them have like I was mentioned before, an almost almond flavor. There's this almond agaricus, and it's named that because it has an almond flavor. So it really depends on what you like too. I mentioned the lion's mane because that's the most approachable to most people. They like that flavor. And when I say, like, you could make crab cakes, vegan crab cakes, and it's not gonna taste disgusting. You know, some people don't like vegan food. I like some vegan food, but I like to eat it with meat. And I don't care. But if I still haven't tried a lion's mane like crab cake made like that, but I want to with my next grow. I want to mash it up and make it like that. And it's cool. I think the pink oyster, the one that I grew, almost smelled like kind of like a faint shrimp smell. And then there's some other varieties that will have a bacon smell, is what it was described. I haven't tried it yet. So if it's out there and there's something that smells like bacon and you don't have to, it's not necessarily cool. I'm fucking down. I really want to try that.
Hey, I gotta go, guys. I hate to be that guy.
All good, man.
Anyone else want to stick around and hang out for a bit? Like, I hate being the guy that shuts the conversation down, but it's
about that time. Hey man, it's 8:30 down in Southern California. Blue skies. You asked where I'm from. Yeah, it's what, 11:30. It's gonna be 12 for you guys. So anytime you guys want to end it.
yeah. I just I tried to put a note there in the chat there. I was hoping to shut her down a few minutes ago, but it's once again like when, dude, like you're one of those people that when you get going, everybody just wants to get back and listen to what you have to say because it's not a dull moment at all. Like you're pumping out some like really awesome info there. And the whole thought of the lion's mane crab cakes, that's just like, you know, it has me thinking and now my stomach's growling.
Yeah, a lot of people make jerky too out of like different mushrooms. So you can get the way you make jerky is with soy sauce, so they'll incorporate that too. There's a lot of different recipes out there. So definitely, if anyone wants to know anything else to cook with it besides eggs and soup, let me know, because that's part of what I want to do, is find out more of what people want to eat and like are being averted from. So, but yeah, like just like DP was saying, like he hates the taste of mushrooms, and that's that mushroom that he doesn't like, and it's probably because it's
Psychedelic mushrooms. I don't know.
ah,
Maybe that's too. I don't know. I think it was a texture when I was younger.
that's another thing, the texture. Yeah, definitely got to cook them. Don't eat raw mushrooms. You'll get more nutrition out of cooked mushrooms. And when you, especially if you do psychedelics, you're gonna get less stomach, an upset stomach too. If you just throw it in some tea, I use some ginger tea. So some ending advice is cook your fucking mushrooms.
So I have some capsules on the way here. Would you suggest like drinking a tea with that? Or
Move it with the tea.
Just drink it with the coffee.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could just throw it in, you could throw it in there. I would let it get in the tea and nice and heated, and then kind of gulp it down if possible. But if it's powdered, you
just
should be
take
fine.
it out?
You could just throw it in there.
Just
I
take
believe
it.
it's a cellulose base that's made from that material. That's why it breaks down and we can have it. So it'll
Okay.
just break down. I use ginger because that helps even more with my stomach. What
Okay.
I've seen out there with some pills is that the ground material and ginger in it already. But
Okay, I'm not sure about these. Somebody like I actually haven't done them in years, but I have PTSD and anxiety, and I've had like a million people asking me to try them, so I am gonna try them finally. And sorry,
Yeah.
I'm blabbing, and Caribou wants to
It's
get
cool.
off.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
No, it's
So
all
good.
good because honestly, I'm sitting there. Did anybody else sit there try and visualize the thought of God is trying to boof a hot cup of tea and some mushroom pills? It's just like, that's an interesting thought. How this is going to
Which
go
one
down,
goes
right?
first?
Yeah, exactly.
they're both going in my mouth, people.
It's a great thought. Raptor, before we get going, where can people find you, brother?
Sure. We haven't gone on in a couple of weeks, but typically the neighborhood grows is where you'd find me. I'm sure we'll be back. We've been a little busy, people. So apologize if you've been expecting us, but yeah, we should be back once we figure out the schedule. Everyone's busy. I know Purple started up his night shift, so by the time the show would start, he'd be already asleep. So we need to figure something out along those lines. You can find me Neighborhood Grows. Is a lot of my pre-recorded stuff. You could also find me on Operation Grow on Saturdays, and that's 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I think that would be 4 p.m. Eastern for you guys. And you could also find me on Raptor Grows on Instagram. And oh yeah, if I'm hoping to open up this later this month, but it'll just be for these lids. So this is what I was talking about before and starting up my Etsy account. It's Firebelly Fungi is my shop, and I have an Instagram too. Under Firebelly Fungi. Like I said, I only have one picture, and that's on me at the San Diego Foray. This will get you started if you want to start with jars. And this is a free air exchange port, and it's filtered with microposts is the brand that the material is made with. And this right here is an injection port. So you just I got a fucking jar right here. So cool. You just put this on a quart size jar. It fits on like that. and you put that into your pressure cooker. Let that go up to up to 15 psi. This should be able to handle 15 psi. I made sure that this is made of the very specific material that will not melt. So I tested this out myself. And if you have any issues, let me know on there and I will make it fine. So yeah, keep an eye out for liquid cultures. I will be working on liquid cultures. I do not sell psychedelics. I am in California. Even if I just said that it's for spore microscopy purposes for learning what spores are, it would still be illegal for me in California. When that changes, I'll let you guys know. And because I'll be fucking jumping on that shit. I'm fucking gonna sell the fuck out of that. I use psychedelics myself. I'm a high believer in, you know, you could do a big dose, you could do a microdose. I like the microdose. I actually use magic truffle grains. So the leftover grains from my magic truffles is how I dose myself. And yeah, I currently cannot handle grains. I will see about that in the future, but I don't have the space. So I'll have to build up my customer basis. And once I have enough customers, I might be able to lease out a place, and then I can get into making logs and making bags and everything like that. So just keep an eye out, Firebelly Fungi. See you all there. See you all in the chat. See you all in Operation Grow. We'll see about, hopefully very soon, we'll see you on Neighborhood Grows. But yeah, hopefully everyone has a great night. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Hey man,
Thanks
thanks
for
for
coming
stopping
on.
by. This has been
For sure,
great.
man.
Like I said, we enjoy it when we get a guest like you on, where it's like we can just kind of sit back and just absorb the knowledge there. I was a little bit too stoned for my own good right off the hop at
Yeah,
the
man.
beginning there. Not too
I'm into a
comprende,
little
but
bit
then
of everything. We didn't even get into like me into landscape design or me into my my tissue culture projects or like any of my tropical plants that I collect. There's some pretty cool ones in there. So if you want to talk anytime, let me know. We'll set something up.
yeah, the
A lot.
tropical plants and the tissue cultures are two things that interest me, and I think Fluff would be really down for tropical plants and stuff. Sorry about that, DP. I cut you off, brother.
No, I was just making a smart ass comment saying I was adoptable. It sounds like like everything is amazing, you know. It's just like it's like what am I doing with my time? So it's this huge inspiration, you know. And thank you so much for that. That's huge. And also, I didn't know about the Operation Growth, so thank you for that. I now have another new source of content. So you've been
Yeah, it's great. I very much recommend Operation Grow just as much as I would recommend the Neighborhood Grows. We both work very hard to come up with content that's actually relatable to people and that they can learn from, and they could watch it for the first time and understand where to get from A to Z in growing. So hopefully we'll see you all there. Let me know if anyone has some other questions, like if anything I just mentioned, worm farming, mycology, horticulture. I'm getting way more into microbiology because that's part of one of my majors. So if you have questions on resources and you need some books, anything like that, let me know. Just come with a question that doesn't need to be, you could just look it up on Google is my main thing. It's kind of like my pet peeve. I've had some people in the past get kind of like pissy at me because I'm like, well, did you look this up on your own kind of deal first? And then they kind of just get like insulted. It's like, but you said you helped me. It's like, yeah, I will help you if you're willing to help yourself first. That's part of what I want to see. And that's why I say like, hey, come to me after you read this book, whatever way you consume the book, If you can't read, you have bad eyes. Like I said, I recommend that text to speech. If you're like fluff, you like Audible, do that. But yeah, get through the information as much as you can. And then when you come to me with a real question that shows me you looked into the content and you're actually curious, you're invested, come to me and I will be more than happy to do it, because it's almost like asking a teacher about something and it was like, but we covered that already. I could tell you're not paying attention. And it's okay if you don't know where to start. If you don't know where to start, that I want to know, so I can tell you, okay, go there. And then once you figure that out, yeah, I'm happy to help any student. And I consider that you don't have to fucking be in a college course or any kind of school to be considered a student. If you're curious, you're passionate, you want to learn, you genuinely want to do better for yourself, that's a student to me. That's something I had to learn these couple last years being a student. Hey, I need to be passionate about all this stuff, because why the fuck am I going to invest my time? And then I see other people that are investing money and they don't even like what they're learning. So I feel bad. And I kind of just tell people, hey, go figure yourself out. Go read more if you can. Go watch those videos. If you can't read, cool. Go look up Fresh from the Farm Fungi, like I mentioned. Go look up Rhonda Sherman. She has some cool videos too on warm cultivation. There's a lot of people, like I just mentioned, if you don't know a lot about cannabis, Neighborhood Grows, Operation Grow, Caribou, like you're on here now. Just you came here to be entertained. I like to be entertained, just joking around, but part of my entertainment is learning. So it's cool that you guys mix it up and have some laughs, but we're also talking about some really cool stuff that does help people. Like it's a direct link to helping people.
Totally.
That's always kind of been the idea, is to have first and foremost the entertainment value there is a bit of a comedy act and shits and giggles and whatnot. But we all kind of have the similar interest in the cannabis plant. And then also mycology is another thing that's really becoming prevalent and people are starting to want to learn about. Hey, so it all just, you can, as you're saying, you can have fun and learn some stuff at the same time. And you think about it, all the best teachers, all the best teachers I ever had in high school were the ones that made you laugh and made learning fun for you. So
that's what I try to do. I try to model myself just like after the people you were saying. Just like Spartan says, I could fucking talk. So it's gonna be 12 o'clock. It's Caribou nighttime. It's sleepy time up in Caribou land. So thank you again, guys. It was cool talking to you all. I'll try to be in chat more, but like I said before, I kind of just, as I'm in the garden messing around, I'm just listening. So I'm one of those people.
It's understandable. That's me quite often. And as I said before, more often than not, I don't even make the live shows on, but I'm like the guy that's listening to him as I'm getting my shit together, morning coffee, putting the work boots on kind of thing is when I'm
that's your routine.
at it. But we just appreciate the support more than anything. Doesn't matter when or how, or it's just the support is what we appreciate. And thank you to everybody that's watching, everybody in live chat right now that was able to hang out with us tonight. It's always a riot listening, hanging out, bullshitting with you all guys. Rick and Goddess, you guys got a show tomorrow? Who you guys got coming up?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking. We got a special show coming up tomorrow night. We're going to do a deep dive on Indigenous culture and history, and so a little bit different. We're going to bring it all back to medicine and healing, and so it's going to be a great all-around show. So please join us.
That actually does sound really fucking good. Wow. Yeah, I know. I can't wait to see that one. I might make sure I clean off my schedule so I can be there for that one. As I said, I'm fucking terrible for making live shows. Some of them you're just like, I can make an exception to be there though. with that, before we get out of here, we actually started a new show here on Monday mornings. DP, you're a huge part of that, brother. We're going with coffee and cannabis, and we're gonna do Mondays. We're gonna do it again this Monday coming up, and we're gonna go with our usual 6 a.m. Pacific start time. We'll have DP, Sweet Johnny, 311's gonna be there helping out with that one, and Profit, and then the best part of it all, though, we're gonna have Paula on there. She's gonna be doing some cooking for us, which is every time she cooks is just turns out phenomenal, and it's exciting as hell. And speaking of Paula, let's shout her out. She was hanging out with us in the pre-show chat before, and she had indulged in some mushrooms earlier in the day, and let's just say she was in a hell of a good mood, bullshitting and providing us with the giggles. And then just as Raptor was jumping on with us, she was had to go and curl up with her blankie as she was putting it. But we love you, Paula. And
I missed it.
yeah, it's gonna be a great time. And other than that, yeah, check out Rick and Goddess tomorrow. And we'll be back Friday night with our usual Friday night shit show. Hell of a time. DP, you got anything you want to add to that before we go, brother? Just meow 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 meow.
Please do that.
No, I love everybody. It's an amazing show tonight. Really enjoyed the game. Hell yeah. Joined the Monday night or Monday morning show. It was blast doing it. Really looking forward to seeing what kind of content gets put out there and where it goes. So hell yeah. Cheers, everybody.
Did you see how we were actually kind of to be somewhat intelligent on that show? I was pretty impressed. Actually, give a shout out to Johnny on that one. Johnny, I thought did really well.
I really like where
and he's gonna only get better, right? That's you think about that's the pilot episode. We go up from here, upward and onward. Raptor, brother, thanks again, man. You're too interesting not to try and get you back on to bullshit with again.
Yeah, let's do this. Pick a topic and I'll stick to it.
Okay.
I have too many side projects, and you kind of just like ask me, well, what do you do? It's like, well, how much time is there for the show? So,
well, the tissue culture would be a huge one that I'd be love to get interested in. And if we can maybe be willing to divide it up to also the tropical plants and stuff, because like I said, Fluff and I and a bunch of us, I shouldn't just say the two of us, we're into growing all sorts of kind of stuff.
yeah,
so,
man, I got bananas growing right now. I got papayas. I got right here in the corner, I got a two vanilla bean orchids. That's another reason I wanted to get into tissue culture as well, because I'm gonna make some fucking money off of those. Just use those as explants, start expanding them. And the cool thing, I will say this about tissue culture, it allows everything to grow up to 10 times faster, depending on how you do everything and what you're growing. So you can really move everything really fast, or you can slow it down with temperature as well if you want to keep it almost sub-zero temperatures, I think like cryo freeze. So you could preserve, you can expand. It's cool because that's what I think is so cool about mycology as well, is I could make this as big as I want, or I could save it for later for breeding, or if I'm not using it for breeding, I could give it to someone who is, and be a part of something that might would be really cool. So yeah, I would love to talk about it. I've been looking into it for a couple years. First heard about it with getting into biotechnology, and then that's what got me curious with horticulture, because along those lines is when I was first starting to grow too. So I was like, whoa, I just need one plant and I could make 1 million if I needed to of the very same thing, and it's gonna be the same thing, and then I'll be taking care of any pest issues. It won't have any issues with any contaminations if I do it right. I'll be able to control the conditions a lot better. And even if everyone else loses it, I have clean genetic material that I can get to other people. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to expanding it. I actually was cleaning up to set up my other tent so I can get all that going, because that's the main thing. Is now I have cuts that I can be able to take, so explants from that genetic material that I can now experiment with. So now that
I'm
I
so
have all that,
sorry to interrupt, but I've been holding going
Go
to the
for it.
bathroom, and I really gotta go. So
Go for
I
it.
love you guys, but I'm out.
Shit.
cheers.
You're
Yeah,
not-
we'll do a tissue culture episode. So let me know.
Okay. We'll reach out to you sooner than later, because that's one that it's the kind of thing that I'm interested in, but I'm not there yet to be starting to look into it, but I can see the value in it, especially a guy like me. Well, no, I shouldn't even say for a person like myself, because we all like to seem to like run a million strains, and if you could say, oh, I like that one, but I'm not sure, and have a sample of that set away, as my understanding is doable with tissue cultures,
Yeah.
somewhat,
And it can be done at
definitely, that
home
would be huge.
too. So I'll just end it with this. If you have a kitchen, you have a lab. And if you don't have a kitchen, you can make one. You can kind of work with it. And I'll have to try to find a way to find an almost like an SOP is the term, to figure out, well, if an SOP for people with kitchens and an SOP for people that don't, and they're just kind of working with, maybe they're just in a trailer. Like, I don't know. I don't know your space, but I love a good challenge. So, yeah,
This is gonna
keep on
be
being
fun.
curious.
Okay, this is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm already really excited about this one. Wheels are turning, the gears are smoking. Okay, I guess it's that's it. That's a great place to end it. I can't think of a better way to. Rick, DP, love you guys. Raptor, once again, man, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Everyone in the chat, you guys are fucking awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out.